Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
That night, the skies above the capital were unusually clear, revealing a blanket of stars. And below, another galaxy shimmered, this one made of celebrities, gowns, and glamour. The red carpet was alive with flashing lights and graceful silhouettes. Dressed to perfection, the stars smiled effortlessly as they faced a sea of cameras. Each step was measured, each gesture rehearsed. A wave, a nod, a slow turn, another wave. The 20-meter runway was less a walk and more a silent performance. Flash after flash lit up the scene. The rapid-fire clicking of shutters drowned out background noise. But the stars didn't flinch. They were seasoned veterans. A single awkward photo could go viral, become a meme, a stain they couldn't erase. The red carpet wasn't just for show. It was a battleground, a silent war between idols, between media narratives, and between reputations. Kacha, camera shutters worked overtime, firing like machine guns. Film rolls were sacrificed in bulk for that one perfect shot. But tonight, everyone was waiting for one person. She's coming. She's coming, a media reporter shouted, voice electric with anticipation. Every camera turned. The crowd erupted. Shiwan. Jiang Shiwan. Shiwan, I love you. Look here. A luxury Bentley rolled to a stop at the edge of the carpet. International actor Zheng Mingri stepped out first, flashing a polished smile, his teeth almost too perfect. He waved with charming confidence, then turned and offered a hand. Out stepped a goddess. Long, jade-sculpted legs wrapped in sharp black heels touched the ground. Jiang Shiwan emerged, ethereal and stunning. Fair skin, crimson lips, captivating eyes. She wore a scarlet dress with a side slit that flaunted her figure and a deep V neckline that demanded attention. The fabric trailed behind her like a royal cape. The wind flirted with the hair on her forehead. Ah, Jiang Shiwan. Over here. The screams were deafening. Shiwan held Zheng Mingri's arm with ease, her other hand waving at fans as a radiant smile played on her lips. You're still as popular as ever, Zheng Mingri whispered with a grin. Without missing a beat, Shiwan replied, Of course. Who do you think I am? They posed together for the cameras, turning the carpet into a stage. The flashbulbs lit the night brighter than day. They approached the autograph wall, where staff handed them pens. They signed gracefully, posed again, then turned to greet the crowd. The host's voice boomed across the venue. Tonight's biggest stars, Jiang Shiwan and Zheng Mingri, have finally arrived. Let's hear your cheers. A fresh wave of screams answered. Two hosts hurried forward, microphones in hand. Could our honored guests say a few words to the media and audience? Shiwan and Mingri smiled politely. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jiang Shiwan. This is Zheng Mingri. Ah, the fans nearly shook the heavens. The host continued. Both of you are nominated for Best Actress and Best Actor tonight. Confident about winning, Shiwan glanced at Mingri, inviting him to speak first. Their partnership was seamless. Mingri offered the textbook safe answer. All the nominees are incredibly talented. Whoever wins tonight truly deserves it. The host smirked, classic politician answer, then turned to Jiang Shiwan. Shiwan's smile didn't fade. She simply said, I'm here to win. The audience roared. No one thought she was bluffing. Jiang Shiwan had always been a wall others couldn't climb. Just last month, she took home the Best Actress award at the Golden Globes. If she won tonight, she'd become the youngest Grand Slam winner in history, surpassing a 30-year-old record held by Zhang Yining. And in that moment, it was clear, Jiang Shiwan didn't just walk red carpets. She owned them. The host was clearly taken aback by Jiang Shiwan's bold declaration, but quickly recovered with a laugh. Haha, then I wish you all the best, Senior Jiang. From the crowd, her fans erupted in cheers. Shiwan, we believe in you. Shiwan, I love you. The venue shook with excitement, and Shiwan turned toward the sea of voices, smiling brightly. I love you all too, she shouted back. In that moment, the atmosphere hit its peak. After all, Jiang Shiwan wasn't just any actress. She had made history as the first Chinese female lead to win Best Actress at the Golden Globes. She wasn't just carrying her own glory, she had brought honor to the nation. Her fan base, once strong, was now unstoppable. What began as admiration had grown into a devoted, ever-expanding force. Inside the venue, the flashing lights faded into a calm brilliance. Compared to the chaos of the red carpet, the brightly lit hall was a welcome contrast. Staff approached swiftly and guided the two stars to their seats, the golden second row, reserved only for the top nominees. Siwon took her place in the Best Actress section on the left. Three familiar faces were already there. Mingri, naturally, headed to the Best Actor area on the right, joining four fellow nominees. As they paused at the aisle, Zhang Mingri leaned in, whispering so only she could hear. "You've got this youngest Grand Slam winner." Siwon gave him a playful shove. "TSK. Don't act like that. Your girlfriend is also nominated, you know. Even if she's not here, you better behave." Jealousy travels fast. Zhang Mingri ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair and replied with his signature charm. "She won't mind." Siwon smirked. I'll make sure she keeps an eye on you." "You're such a pain," he groaned, before turning and heading toward his section. Siwon walked to her seat, where Zhang Zi, another Best Actress nominee, waved warmly. There were 5 chairs arranged in total. Siwon was seated in the center, with an empty seat beside her labeled Sun Wanyu. Sun Wanyu, Zhang Mingri's girlfriend, was still abroad filming a music video and couldn't attend tonight. Sun Wanyu wasn't just Siwon's friend. They had history, high school classmates, same university, same department. Siwon had even been the one to bring Sun Wanyu and Zhang Mingri together. As Siwon settled in, Zhang Zi leaned closer with a curious glint in her eye. "Siwon, are you and Zhang Mingri a couple?" Zhang Mingri's relationship with Sun Wanyu was a closely guarded secret. Only their managers and a few assistants knew. Most outsiders, including fellow artists, remained in the dark. Siwon, never one to gossip or overshare, replied coolly. "No." Zhang Zi bit her lip, disappointed but still pushing. Siwon's posture was straight, gaze forward, not even glancing her way. Still smiling, Zhang Zi pressed on. "What a pity. You two make such a great pair. I watched your film together. You two were electric. I totally shipped you." Indeed, Siwon and Zhang Mingri had starred together in several hit films. Their on-screen chemistry was legendary. Many fans had long fantasized about them being a couple in real life, and gossip columns had fueled the fire at every opportunity. Siwon simply nodded. "Thank you for supporting the film." Then she turned her attention to the stage, where the opening dance had begun, ignoring Zhang Zi and her not-so-subtle fishing. Zhang Zi's expression twisted slightly. "What are you acting so high and mighty for?" She thought bitterly. "You'll fall from that pedestal eventually." She turned and began whispering to the nearby nominees. As the opening dance ended, the host for the night stepped onto the stage, 4 of the most influential names in the industry. There were 2 male hosts. One was Master Hua, a well-known face from provincial television, and the other was Master Du, a sharp-witted host famous for his improvisational skills. The 2 female hosts were just as iconic. One was Huang Jiao, a senior host from Halo Media. Though her image often focused on her striking figure, her skills as an MC were undeniable. The other was Hu Yi, head of Central TV, a woman who had clawed her way up from local broadcasting to national prominence, backed by power and armed with talent. Together, the 4 hosts greeted the hall in unison. "Good evening, and welcome to the 2015 Golden Age Awards." Most of the guests performing at the award ceremony were celebrities who had been relatively popular over the past year. Some had just debuted, while others had already established themselves in the industry. Of course, there were also celebrities who had been given a bunch of money by their management companies just to show their faces point too. After each performance, 2 or 3 awards would be given out. If it were any other award ceremony, many celebrities would be drowsy or bored, but this ceremony could be said to be the most important one in the country. CATV would broadcast it live to the whole world. Therefore, many celebrities were sitting upright. If the camera swept over them, They would maintain an elegant posture and smile at the camera. Point 2. The area that the camera swept over the most was Jiang Shuan's side. As such, everyone could often see Jiang Shuan's face appear on the big screen. Point 2. Although the entire award ceremony was full of excitement, the most anticipated moment was definitely when the award for Best Female Lead would be announced. Even if everyone vaguely felt that it would be the person they expected, they still hoped to see the actual result. Point 2. Of course, some people didn't want this result. After all, many people have been unable to stand that person for a long time. Not winning the award would demoralize that arrogant woman. However, others simply hoped that it was the person they expected to win. After all, losing to her was better than losing to anyone else. Point 2. Time passed bit by bit. Finally, it was time to present the Best Actress Award. The most nervous people were naturally the 4 people in the Best Actress section. Who was standing near the front of the stage, smiled very brightly. She looked at Master Du beside her and said, "Master Du, you said that more than half of the Golden Age Award has already passed. At this moment, I'm actually quite nervous. My palms are all sweaty. What should I do to?" Master Du smiled and said, "Teacher Hu, don't ask me. I'm just like you right now. I just want to be quiet, too. Don't even think about asking me." Huang Jing, who was sitting in the first row, waved her hand, and the audience burst into laughter. Point 2. Master Du smiled and said, "Teacher Huang, you're as funny as ever." 2. Hui nodded as well. "All right, after you're done being nervous, let's announce one of the awards that everyone is looking forward to the most, Best Actress. Let's welcome our presenters, teachers Huang Jing and Lin Yu." 2. Of the 2 presenters, one was a veteran actress in the entertainment industry, and the other was a famous director in the entertainment industry. They were both in their 70s, so when they walked up, they relied on beautiful girls beside them to help them up. Despite the short distance of only a few dozen meters, after they had walked for a minute, the people below the stage became even more nervous. Point 2. When Huang Jing and Lin Yu stood on the stage, the 2 of them bowed to each other and shook hands. Huang Jing was the first to speak. "Director Lin, it's been a while. You still haven't lost your heroic bearing." 2. Lin Yu smiled and replied, "You still have your graceful bearing." 2. "No, I'm an old woman now." Looking at these young people, their fresh and beautiful looks make people feel good. 2. The crowd burst into laughter. Immediately after, Huang Jing smiled and said, "All right, I know that everyone is very nervous right now. They're all looking forward to who the award will go to. The answer is in my hands right now." As she said that, she raised a red envelope in her hand. Point 2. Lin Yu nodded. "Then, who will win the award for Best Actress at the Golden Age Awards this year?" 2. "Please look at the big screen," the 2 said together. Point 2. The big screen then began to play 5 short clips. The first was the movie Those Years, starring Zhang Zi, which was accompanied by some commentary. In those years, Zhang Zi had played a character whose ages ranged from 15 to 85 years old. Whether it was a crying or a laughing scene, she had made people feel sorry for her and had touched countless hearts. Point 2. The 1-minute-long film had compiled Zhang Zi's various wonderful performances in the movie. Point 2. Jiang Xuan sat below the stage and watched Zhang Zi's performance. It had to be said that Zhang Zi's acting skills were indeed very experienced, and she was indeed a strong opponent. Zhang Zi sat in her seat, and her face maintained an elegant and appropriate smile. Next was the second beauty, Chen Shuer, who also had the temperament of a beauty. She and Jiang Xuan were actually from the same hometown, as both of them were from City H, but because Jiang Xuan was beautiful, strong, and had a strong background, her debut went far smoother. However, Chen Shuer was not like that. She had once made a name for herself, but was then banned by the SARFD. A few years later, she returned from the neighboring country of Bangzi. With her good acting skills and a killer smile, she was praised as a goddess. Point 2. On the big screen was her new film, Bipolar, in which she played 2 roles. One was a normal sister, and the other was a mentally ill sister. Her acting was sharp, and the difference between her 2 roles was quite drastic. It was indeed not bad. Point 2. Then there was Zhao Ziyan. Zhao Ziyan was considered quite strange in the industry. She was a host, but left to act halfway through her career and had won some awards. Her eyes were big and bright, and she had no shortage of fans. Her shortlisted work this time was director Chun Gang's masterpiece, Passionate Midnight. It was a suspense love story on a slightly larger scale and had earned a lot of money. However, her performance in this movie was a little worse when compared to the other 2.2. The fourth was Jiang Shiwan's best friend, Sun Wanyu. She had been on the big screen for a few years, and most of her roles were as female leads in big productions, but she didn't make any truly large waves with her roles. She had played many good roles, but they were not very popular. Her box office earnings also weren't high, and her reputation for that was also not that great. It was truly a pity. Therefore, many fans mocked Sun Wanyu as a box office poison point too. However, this time, with the help of the refreshing movie The Amnesiac's Wife and her own natural acting, she had successfully made it to the nomination list at the Golden Age Awards point two. After her clip played, the screen played a VCR that she had specially sent over point two. Her face appeared on the big screen, and her voice spoke slowly point two. Hello, everyone. I'm Sun Wanyu. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to come to the Golden Age Awards ceremony to share this moment with everyone because of work. I'm very happy that I was nominated for the Best Actress Award at the Golden Age Awards. Regardless of if I win or not, this is a great honor for me. Thank you, everyone. Also, I know that my good friend Shiwan was also nominated for the award this time. Haha, I have absolute confidence in our Shiwan. Shiwan, you can do it too. Jiang Shiwan sat in her seat and smiled faintly. Shiwan's faint and gentle smile instantly appeared on the big screen. The fans in the audience started screaming in excitement point two. Before long, the voice on the big screen sounded again. The next nominated actress is Jiang Shiwan. She played the female agent in the movie S-War, and the character's image is deep and full. The voice was accompanied by clips of explosive scenes, fighting scenes, and Shiwan's performance point too. Many of the stars here were also Jiang Shiwan's fans, so when they saw the wonderful scenes in the movie, many people cheered, which caused many fans in the audience to scream as well. Suddenly, the signal was cut off. The sound of the program team disappeared. The big screen no longer showed the short film, but rather a male and female X-rated scene. The audience was in an uproar. The faces of the two people could not be seen clearly, but the sound in the film, played by the venue's three-dimensional surround sound system, was extremely magnified. Many male stars in the audience even reacted slightly, and Shiwan, who was sitting below the stage, had a deathly pale complexion on her face. The big screen was still showing the scene of physical entanglement. The increasingly explicit scene made all the guests blush, and the fans in the audience were even more shocked. Some of them had already picked up their phones to start filming this sudden scene point too. The two guest hosts were both relatively older seniors in the entertainment industry. Even though they had been immersed in the entertainment industry for many years, their thoughts were still somewhat old-fashioned. When they saw this shameful scene, both of their old faces were flushed red and their brows were tightly knitted point too. Jiang Shiwan, who was sitting near the stage, felt her hands and feet grow cold, and her pretty face was pale. The man and woman in the short film didn't have clear facial features, so others didn't know who it was, but she knew that the woman on the screen was none other than her. The man on the screen was her boss and financier, Lin Shi point two. Questions raced through her mind. Who shot this video? When was it taken? Why was it put up now, too? Her face grew even paler. Many people saw it, but most of them thought that maybe it was just because of the lighting, or maybe she was just angry because someone mischievously ruined her short film introduction point too. At the same time, the back of the stage was also in a mess. The director kept cursing, "Hurry up and turn off the big screen." The technician was so busy that his forehead was covered in sweat, and his heart was full of anxiety. The system has been hacked. It'll probably take 1 or 2 minutes. 2. Trash. What's the point of having you all? The director cursed while paying attention to the situation outside point two. At this very moment, because of the man and woman changing positions, the woman's face was exposed to the public. Her smooth and clear skin was like jade, suffused with an emotional flush, and her pearly white teeth bit her crimson lips tightly. The two of them were so close to each other that their lips and teeth were practically attached. Point two. This woman was none other than Jiang Shuan, who was one of the nominees to win the Best Actress Award at the Golden Age Awards. 2. Boom, 2. The crowd was in an uproar. The technical staff finally regained control of the system and switched the content on the big screen to the Golden Age Awards iconic trophy. Point two. However, the noise was even more terrifying than before. Point two. Almost everyone was whispering, and the eyes that looked at Jiang Shuan were filled with disdain. Point two. Jiang Shuan put her hands on the chair and gradually tightened her grip, her crystal nails sinking into the soft leather. The host quickly came up to smooth things over, but no one had the patience to listen anymore. Point two. Huang Jing on the stage then announced the best actress of this Golden Age Award ceremony. Sun Wanyu, 2. That's right, the Best Actress Golden Age Award would be given to Sun Wanyu. Point two. It was a huge upset. However, no one cared because if this upset was a grenade, then the previous indecent video was a massive torpedo. Point two. Perhaps the only thing that mattered was the few actresses who had been nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Age Awards. For example, Zhang Zi directly said, "It's not Jiang Shuan." She realized that her words were inappropriate, but looked around and saw that no one had heard her, so she patted her chest and turned to see the pale Jiang Shuan. For a moment, she had a feeling that she didn't know was sympathy or just schadenfreude. Point two. To be honest, she didn't like Jiang Shuan. She was too aloof and arrogant, but she had to admit that Jiang Shuan's acting was indeed much stronger than hers. If she lost to Jiang Shuan for this Best Actress award, she would be convinced, but as she had lost to Sun Wanyu, who had the worst acting skills among the nominees, no matter how she looked at it, it really made her angry. She was convinced that there was a conspiracy, too. However, the camera was still recording the scene here, so she could only laugh and clap her hands. Point two. The host came again at this time, saying that because Sun Wanyu didn't come to the event, her manager would accept the award on her behalf. Point two. Far away, Sun Wanyu was in a small, well-lit room. Point two. She appeared on camera without makeup and looked surprised. I didn't expect the organizing committee to think so highly of me, because I thought the winner of the Best Actress award this time would be my good friend, Shuan. Because, how should I put it, I have confidence in her. She just won the Golden Globe's Best Actress award, and I haven't won any awards. Before this, people always said that I was a box office poison. This is also the first time I was shortlisted for the Golden Age Awards. The organizing committee even told me that I won the award. This award is really an award that makes people happy, but also unhappy. Perhaps it was because she was too excited that her voice got stuck. Before long, Sun Wanyu adjusted herself. "I'm sorry, I really don't know what to say, and because I didn't prepare a speech for the award ceremony, I spoke nonsense. Everyone, please don't take offense." 2. Her voice was soft and gentle, causing the entire noisy hall to gradually quiet down as she continued to speak. Point two. "I'm happy because the organizing committee of the Golden Time Award has given me an affirmation of my acting skills. In the future, I won't have to be doubted as a vase, but I'm unhappy because everyone knows that this is also a trophy for my good sister to strive for the Grand Slam Best Actress Award." 2. She paused. "Oh my, what am I saying? So here, I want to thank my dear Shuan. Moi, I also want to thank my company, my agent, my assistant, and my family and friends. They have done a lot for me. And I also want to thank the one who has been silently supporting me behind my back. Okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone." Everyone clapped. Even the nominees who didn't get the Best Actress award were clapping enthusiastically. Jiang Shuan didn't clap when she heard her sister's words. Her face was still pale. No one knew that her heart had changed drastically at this moment. If the indecent video just now was a serious injury, then Sun Wanyu's video was a fatal blow. The manager left the stage after receiving the Golden Age Award, while the two presenters continued to present the awards. The Best Actor award didn't have any unexpected surprises. It was Xiwan's good partner, Zheng Mingri. Point two. Xiwan could not care less about Zheng Mingri's success. She only hurriedly got up. Point two. At this moment, She could not care less about the company and the television station's celebration party for her. Of course, this celebration party would definitely have to change the person it was celebrating. Point two. She had a huge question in her heart. She needed to find the answer quickly. Because of the sudden incident just now, Jiang Xuan was the focus of everyone's attention, so when she stood up from her seat, many people looked at her. However, most people thought that she was angry because she didn't win the award and because of the indecent video. Point two. They were disdainful, contemptuous, and gloating. Jiang Xuan ignored them and went straight out. The assistant behind her saw Jiang Xuan get up and went out to chase after her. It was just that she walked too fast, and the assistant chased after her for a long time before she could catch up with her. Point two. Sis Xuan, too. Jiang Xuan frowned and saw the assistant behind her handing her a coat. The cold wind was blowing outside, but she didn't feel the chill at all. Point two. Phone, too. Okay. The assistant was stunned for a moment. After all, after what happened during the ceremony, her mind was still in a daze. When she saw Xiwan asking for her phone, she came back to her senses and took out a phone from her small bag. Point two. Xiwan took the phone, unlocked it, found a familiar name, and dialed the number. Point two. For a while, no one answered the phone. Xiwan was not willing to give up and dialed again. A long time passed before the phone was picked up. Point two. Hello. Awan, I'm sorry, I was filming just now. So, I only heard your call now. 2. Where are you? Xiwan's eyes were dark. The hand holding the phone was even shaking unconsciously. Point two. I'm in M country. Didn't you know, too? Really? She gritted her teeth. Okay, I got it, too. Awan, are you angry? You're angry that I won the Best Actress award? But Awan, too. Xiwan did not listen to her and just hung up. Her entire body was trembling. She did not know if it was because of the cold wind or the phone call just now, but her entire face was pale and her body was shaking. Point two. After a long while, she said to her assistant, I'm going to the Yunshui residence, too. It took her a lot of effort to calm herself down to say these 6 words. No matter how calm her voice was just now, she could still hear her own rapid breathing. Point two. The lights in the background, the study, and the sound of love. Point two. She couldn't think about it anymore, or she would break down. Okay. The assistant had never seen a prideful and noble goddess show such a fragile image at this moment. She couldn't help but respond quickly and took out her phone to call the driver over. Point two. Probably because it was nighttime, she got into the car and they drove along smoothly. Half an hour later, she arrived at the Yunshui residence. Point two. She got out of the car. The assistant wanted to follow her, but she shook her head. Wait for me here. If I need you, I'll call you too. Okay. The assistant quickly nodded. Point two. She took a deep breath and walked towards the villa. She looked up and saw the dim lights upstairs. Her heart was already half cold. Point two. She looked down at her phone and directly dialed another number. What she heard was, sorry, the phone you have dialed is turned off, too. She sneered. She couldn't help but think of the day she called him. Point two. She asked, will you come back to celebrate with me tonight, too? He said, baby, I'm still in S City. I can't come back. I'll make it up for you when I do, though, too. Now it seemed like he was covering something up. Point two. Biting her lip, she stepped forward, entered the password, and walked in. The lights in the lobby were off. She turned the lights on, and the room became bright. There were 2 layers of clothes on the floor. Point two. This is 2. Was she in a hurry, too? She took 3 steps forward and quickly ran upstairs. Point two. The door that shone with a cool light. The closer she got, the clearer the faint panting sound became. Hurry up, too. That familiar woman's voice. She, who had always been proud, instantly started crying. Point two. She calmed herself down and wiped her tears with the back of her hand, staining it with her makeup. She took 2 deep breaths and calmly knocked on the door. Point two. Lin Shi, come out, too. Sun Wan, you come out, too. The originally charming voice in the room suddenly disappeared. After a long while, the door opened. Lin Shi, who was smiling, blocked her way. At this moment, he was dressed meticulously. Perhaps it was because of what he had just been doing, but his face was still flushed with lust. Point two. Baby, why are you here? 2. Xuan looked at Lin Shi, who did not change his expression at all, and was even smiling at her. For a moment, she actually could not understand him. Point two. Get out of the way. She yelled at him. Point two. Lin Shi's eyes were cold, but the smile on his lips did not fade. Baby, why do you have to do this, too? Finally, her eyes couldn't hold it anymore, and large tears flowed down her face. Point two. Just now, at the film festival, such an unbearable scene was shown to the world. So many people's disdainful voices, so many disdainful gazes, but she did not cry. Point two. But now, too, her chest hurt so much that every time she breathed in and out, she felt like she was being pressed down. She could not breathe. Point two. She endured the pain in her chest and said, Lin Shi, tell me there's no one inside. Baby, don't call me baby, she said as she looked behind him. A woman was inside, wearing a white dress. At that moment, she slowly moved towards her. Awan was a slut. The Sun Wanyu in front of her was a vivid answer. Point two. She had never expected that the good sister who had helped her since high school would stab her in the heart. Point two. Is there nothing else you want to say? Two. After a long silence, Lin Shi slowly said, Baby, why? Two. It was another casual sentence. Shiwan stared at Lin Shi, and he stared right back. She bit her bright red lips so hard they were about to bleed. Point two. Lin, she was embarrassed. There was a flash of anger and embarrassment in his eyes. Just as he was about to speak, Sun Wanyu's rabbit-like eyes seemed like they were about to cry. Her voice was a little hoarse. I'm sorry, Awan. It's my fault, too. Don't call me Awan. Jiang Shuan stared at her friend, who seemed so weak and pitiful right now. Didn't you say you were filming in Country M? Then she stared at Lin Shi. Didn't you say you were working in City S, too? Huh. She looked up and let her tears start to fall. Two liars, too. I'm sorry, Awan. I didn't do it on purpose. I just couldn't help myself, too. Slap. A clear and crisp sound rang out. Point two. You really couldn't help yourself? Shiwan looked at her red hand and then turned to Lin Shi. What about you, too? Lin Shi frowned, and his handsome face seemed to be filled with anger. Jiang Shiwan, stop messing around, too. Messing around, too. My King man was sleeping with my best friend. I just slapped her, and you're saying that I'm messing around? Shiwan was so angry, she took off her high heels and threw them at his face. Point two. Lin, she was hit hard, and his face instantly turned red. Who the CK do you even really want? After striking Lin Shi, Shiwan finally found a way to vent her anger. She picked up her other shoe and threw it at Lin Shi. Do you even have a heart? Who do you actually want? Want enough to sleep with, too. The more she hit him, the more powerless she became, and her voice became more and more hoarse. Enough. Lin, she grabbed her hands and shouted at Shiwan, Jiang Shiwan, you're just one of my women. Aren't you being too controlling, too? He pushed her away. Shiwan staggered backwards and sat on the ground, looking at the familiar yet strange man in front of her. His harsh words were still ringing in her ears. Point two. Lin Shi, are you telling the truth, too? Sun Wanyu looked at Shiwan timidly. Awan, I'm sorry. Lin Shi and I are in love, too. Shiwan looked up at Sun Wanyu. Her pure and lovely face was covered with 2 lines of tears, and her fair skin was still imprinted with the slap she had given her just now. At this moment, she looked even more pitiful, like a weak and helpless flower. Point two. Don't disgust me. As she said this, she stood up and stared at Sun Wanyu. Sun Wanyu, I never knew you were this cheap. 2. There are so many men in the world. Why would you choose this one, too? So hateful. My heart hurts. Lin Shi, who was standing to the side, took out a cigarette, lit it up, and started smoking. Then he looked at Shiwan and said, Baby, don't forget that you're just a woman that I'm using money to keep. Why do you have to make things so unhappy, too? His face seemed to be blurry in the smoke and dim lighting of the room. Point two. But his voice, word by word, was like a knife sliding deeply into her heart. It hurt. Point two. Being cut all over her body was nothing compared to this. Point two. Keep, woman, money too. Hee. So that was what Shiwan was in his heart. Point two. All of her feelings could be measured with money. Point two. 7 years of mutual help, 7 years of love. It was all wishful thinking, but in the end, it was just a joke. Point two. Ha, that's right, that's right. It was all her own wishful thinking. From the very beginning, their relationship had mixed feelings with profit and money. Who would take it seriously, too? Only she had foolishly lost her heart along the way. Point two. Haha, she was really silly. She had changed the nature of their relationship, but he was still putting on a show. She had been in the entertainment industry for so many years, yet still believed that people would have hearts. Point two. Haha, she was too silly. She should have known. She should have known. Ha 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 ha. She raised her head and laughed wildly. Tears burst out of her eyes. Point two. Lin Shi, you win, too. Sun Wan Yu, our friendship is over, too. She turned around and walked out the door step by step, each one as heavy as 1,000 pounds of stone. Point two. The weather outside seemed to be even colder now. Point two. Sister Shiwan. The assistant ran up to her again. Where are your shoes? Then, she took a look at Jiang Shiwan's embarrassed face and didn't ask any more questions. She only took off her own shoes and let her put them on before opening the car door. She asked the driver to send Shiwan to her nearest villa. Point two. Jiang Shiwan was muddle-headed. When she leaned back and found herself on a sofa, she realized that she had already reached home. Point two. The assistant was still busy. Sister Shiwan, the hot water is ready. You should go take a shower first, too. Shiwan nodded. It's so late. You should go home, too. The assistant looked at the tired Jiang Shiwan and wanted to say something, but she hesitated. She thought that it was because of the indecent video that was played tonight and because she didn't win the Best Actress award. She wanted to comfort her, but found that she was at a loss for words. It took her a long time to say anything. Sis Shiwan, come on. It's just a lousy film award. We even won the Golden Globe Award. Do we still care about this? And the assistant paused. She looked at Shiwan's face and said in one breath, it's just a sex video. Who hasn't done it before? And that video might not be real. Sis Shiwan, don't think too hard. Even if it's real, our company's PR is very good. Besides, you're so beautiful. What are you afraid of, too? Shiwan smiled at her. I know. You should go back first. It's too late. I want to sleep for a while. Come find me the day after tomorrow, too. The assistant nodded. I'm okay. I'll come find you the day after tomorrow, too. Not long after the assistant left, Shiwan went upstairs to the bathroom. The bathtub was already filled with hot water, and Shiwan soaked herself in it. It helped to slightly numb the pain in her heart. Point two. Lin Shi, Lin Shi, Lin Shi. That figure was deep in her bones. Lin Shi, how can I forget about you? Duh. The sound of footsteps could be heard. Shiwan, who was already feeling a little dizzy, thought that her assistant had come back. She said lazily, Xiao Mei, I won't take things too hard. Hee, you have such a good attitude. What responded to her was not her assistant's voice, but the voice of the woman she could only feel disgust towards. Sun Wanyu. Why are you here? Jiang Shiwan stared at Sun Wanyu and said coldly. Point two. Sun Wanyu's pure face actually had a trace of an evil smile. Guess, too. What are you trying to do? An inexplicable chill rose in Shiwan's heart. Point two. What I'm trying to do? Sun Wanyu asked Shiwan in return, then laughed out loud. You'll know later, too. She approached Shiwan in the bathtub step by step. Point two. Shiwan looked at her former best friend with a hateful look on her face and couldn't help but feel like a failure. She couldn't come to understand the people that had been around her for 7 years, nor did she understand her best friend for over 10 years. Although she had always been optimistic, this was really a moment when she felt like her world was shrouded in darkness. Point two. Sun Wanyu slowly walked to Shiwan's side and whispered into Shiwan's ear, I came here to help send you off, too. In a flash, she pulled out a shiny needle and injected it into Shiwan's body. Point two. Shiwan jumped up in pain. She did not care about her clothes and pushed Wanyu away. What are you injecting me with? Are you crazy, too? Her face was pale as she muttered, Sun Wanyu, you're King crazy. She wanted to call the police, too. Sun Wanyu's eyes were bloodshot, as if she really wanted to kill her. It was too terrifying. How could a human heart change so quickly, too? She tried to stand up, but Sun Wanyu pushed Shiwan back into the bathtub. Do you really think you're going to survive today, too? Sun Wanyu, I'm telling you, don't mess around. My villa is full of cameras, too. Shiwan, Are you mad today? How could I not know about the cameras in your villa? 2. Listening to Sun Wanyu's cold voice, Shiwan's face turned even paler. She was her best friend, and Shiwan had always treated her as family and had given her the villa's password. Apart from that, Sun Wanyu knew almost everything about her. She even knew how many cameras there were, too. Haha, right? Your home's cameras are no longer effective. No one will know that I came to your place tonight. 2. Sun Wanyu, you're breaking the law. 2. Haha, breaking the law? What am I afraid of? Instead of letting you live and turn into a lunatic, I might as well kill you as soon as possible, too. Shiwan's heart turned cold when she heard this. She had never thought that the friend she had always treated wholeheartedly would actually want her life, too. She tried standing up again and felt dizzy. 2. Sun Wanyu could not help but laugh wildly when she saw Shiwan's state. Huh, did you know that I put in a lot of effort to obtain this drug, too? Sun Wanyu. Shiwan gritted her teeth. I won't let you get away with this. She pushed Sun Wanyu away forcefully. She was around 10 centimeters taller than Wanyu. In addition, Sun Wanyu was originally fairly thin and small, so Shiwan managed to push her away. 2. Sun Wanyu fell to the ground and suddenly took out a fruit knife and pointed it at Jiang Shiwan. I said, you're not going to be leaving this place alive, too. Jiang Shiwan naturally wouldn't listen to Sun Wanyu's words and tried to run outside. Sun Wanyu seemed to have gone mad and grabbed at Shiwan's feet. 2. Shiwan felt dizzier and dizzier. In addition, Sun Wanyu had suddenly grabbed her feet and she fell to the ground. 2. Her head hurt and it felt like the world was spinning. 2. Her eyelids were so heavy that even the pain in her body couldn't arouse the desire to close them. She was like a broken doll without any strength. Sun Wanyu. There was a patch of purple and black in front of her eyes. She could only rely on shaking her head to keep the darkness from engulfing her. 2. Huh, you're finally going to die. You're finally going to die, too. I was so good to you. Why did you two? Ha, good. She laughed and asked back. Suddenly, she said in an evil tone, Bah, your so-called good is to constantly give me what you don't want? To constantly use me as a foil for yourself, too. Sun Wanyu's black and white eyes had already become flushed red with blood. Her pretty face was distorted with anger and resentment. 2. Your so-called good is to drag me, an ugly duckling, around to show off your beauty. You throw me the films that you don't want and make me the king of bad films. Ah, do I still have to be grateful to you? I clearly took a liking to this man first, and you beat me to it by being together with him. You keep showing off your love to me, opening my scars, and then introduce me to a man that you don't want, right? What you mean by good is that you introduce me to the media who keep asking me questions about you. You're very proud, aren't you? You're very proud of pushing me into the ground, aren't you, too? Although the darkness in front of Shiwan's eyes was getting thicker and thicker, and it was getting harder and harder for her to think, Sun Wanyu's constant criticism actually made her heart feel sorrowful. 2. So, that was what she was thinking. Because she knew the unspoken rules in the industry, she couldn't bear to let her best friend fall behind. So she went to the boss of the company, who was also the most famous single elite in the industry, Lin Shi. 2. Because her acting skills were not good, Shiwan let her start with simpler supporting roles. Because Nwanyu complained that she was always acting as a supporting actress, Shiwan gave up many female lead roles to her. Not only did she owe those directors a favor, but she also messed up the originally outstanding roles. As a result, the box office earnings were low. She felt even more guilty towards those directors. 2. Because Nwanyu said that she also wanted to find a boyfriend who was as considerate as Lin Shi. She introduced Zheng Mingri to her. 2. In order to let her meet more people, have more connections, and socialize in the circle, she constantly introduced her to her friends, directors, producers, and advertisers, too. She didn't know how many favors Nwanyu owed her. 2. It turned out that not only did Nwanyu not appreciate her kindness, but she even hated her for it. She even wanted her to die. 2. It turned out that her sincerity was fake in the eyes of others. Do you know? Only if you die quickly will this entertainment circle be mine. Haha, if you die, not only can I be with Lin Shi openly, I can also use your connections to let me go further. Ah, Yes, didn't I win the Best Actress award tonight? 2. Soon Wan Yu looked at Jiang Shiwan, who was slowly closing her eyes, and became excited. You know what? The headlines tomorrow will be wonderful. 2. Diva Jiang Shiwan, award-winning friend Soon Wan Yu, Diva Jiang Shiwan's indecent video, Diva Jiang Shiwan's suicide at home. Haha. Aren't you curious where that indecent video came from tonight? 2. That's right, I put a camera in your room. Ah, you know how I got my award? That's right, sleeping with the chairman of the organizing committee is much faster and more convenient than anything else. 2. As she spoke, she dragged Jiang Shiwan into the bathtub. The water in the bathtub was a lot cooler now, so she drained some of it and added hot water back in. Then, she picked up a blade, found Jiang Shiwan's wrist, and cut it hard. Warm blood spurted out like a fountain in an instant. The clear water was instantly dyed red. Point 2. Ha, of course, the most sensational news tomorrow will definitely be you committing suicide at home. Ha, don't worry, I will definitely cry for you. Ha, right? I can always use you to make the headlines. The Heavenly Queen's good friend, the Heavenly Queen's best friend. Shiwan closed her eyes, but she still heard the last sentence. Huh, so this was the true face of her good friend. So this was her life. She hated it so much. If there was a next life, she would not be bullied and abandoned like in this life. Her eyes finally closed, and her body slowly lost strength, yet tears kept flowing down her face. When Jiang Shiwan woke up, she was confused and had a splitting headache. She couldn't help but want to hold her head with both hands, but something was attached to her right hand. A high-pitched female voice suddenly sounded in her ear. Wan Wan, you're finally awake. You scared Mom to death, too. Mother? Her mother had passed away when she was in her 3rd year of high school. Who was this person who claimed to be her mother, too? Suddenly, bright red blood, pale people, and trembling lips flashed through her mind, and a large group of people. There was a dark mass of people, making noises that made it hard to breathe, too. It hurt. It was heart-wrenching and suffocating. Ah! She couldn't help but scream. Point 2. The woman next to her was obviously frightened. Her old face was pale, and she seemed to be thinking of something. She quickly got up and pressed a button in front of the bed. Wan Wan, what happened to you? What happened to you? Don't scare Mother, Wan, too. The voice was probably extremely anxious, and there was a hint of crying in it, which made Jiang Shiwan stop screaming and look up slowly. Point 2. The woman in front of her looked to be in her 50s, and her face was full of sadness. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she was looking at her anxiously. The woman in front of her probably saw that she was looking at her, and couldn't help but shed 2 dirty tears. She said with heartache, Wan, where does it hurt? Tell Mommy where it hurts, too. As soon as she finished speaking, the door opened, and a middle-aged male doctor and a middle-aged female nurse came in. Point 2. Doctor, quick, look at my daughter. The woman hurriedly ran to the doctor again, her face full of anxiety. Point 2. The doctor nodded, walked to Jiang Shiwan's side, and then asked a few routine questions. Jiang Shiwan only shook her head and nodded. The doctor then came to a conclusion. Your daughter is fine, and her reactions are normal. She'll recover after some rest, don't worry. He then left with the nurse. Point 2. Jiang Shiwan's mind was still hazy. Even though her heart ached terribly, she was still confused by the stranger and behavior in front of her. Point 2. The white walls around her had already turned yellow due to age, and the curtains were dark yellow. At this moment, the window was open and the wind was blowing. The curtains kept shaking. There were 2 fluorescent lights above her head. The lights were yellow and gave off a pale light. A group of tiny bugs flew around them. Point 2. She lowered her eyes, and her big eyes became filled with mist. Point 2. Her head hurt so much, but she couldn't help but touch it with her left hand. She could clearly feel a bandage on her head and pressed on a. Point 2. It hurt. It was a heart-wrenching pain, too. Wan, what are you doing? The woman was scared and hugged her. She cried, Wan, don't scare Mommy, Wan, too. You. She opened her mouth and let out a hoarse sound. Point 2. She remembered that she was clearly killed by Soon Wan Yu, too. There was only a bump on her head, and her hands and feet were fine. Most importantly, she appeared in a dilapidated hospital, and there was a woman she didn't know who kept calling herself her mom. Point two. Wan, you scared mommy to death. When she spoke, the woman started crying very miserably. Mommy thought you, too. She sobbed uncontrollably. Jiang Shuan pushed the crying woman aside. Point two. The woman was stunned for a moment before she let go of Jiang Shuan and wiped her tears away. It's good that you're okay. It's good that you're okay. Don't go to that so-called TV station to be an intern anymore. You're an intern reporter, not an assistant. Such a big chandelier fell on your head. I'm so glad you woke up. As she said that, tears started to fall again. Point two. Jiang Shuan was puzzled. What TV station intern? What chandelier? She opened her mouth and wanted to ask a lot of questions. Jiang Shuan looked at the woman who kept talking in front of her. She opened her mouth and only managed to squeeze out a few words after a long time. I was an intern at the TV station, and then a chandelier fell on my head, too. The woman nodded. Yes, that hateful TV station. You're obviously an intern reporter, but they actually made you do odd jobs, too. Jiang Shuan couldn't say anything else. The pain in her head, the pain in her heart, and all kinds of doubts were intertwined in her mind. Point two. She looked at her wrist. She remembered that Sun Wanyu had injected her with a drug before cutting her wrist. But now, too, although she was confused, based on the current situation, she was like a monster possessing this girl who was also called Wan. This kind of situation was like a time travel TV series she had shot before. However, in the script at that time, she had traveled from the modern era to an ancient one, yet now she was still in a relatively modern time period. Point two. Was it because even the heavens pitied her that she was allowed to live a new life, too? As time passed, the entire ward slowly became deserted. After a long time, the woman asked if she was thirsty. However, her heart was in a mess at the moment. She did not hear the woman's question clearly and only nodded. Point two. The woman dipped a cotton swab in boiling water and applied it on her lips, repeating it a few times. At first, she was a little conflicted, but in the end, she could not resist the woman's ardent care. Point two. After a long time, she calmed down and asked, "Where's my phone, too?" The woman was stunned for a moment, then came back to her senses and nodded. She walked to a cabinet, opened a drawer, took out a tattered bag, and took out a small keyboard device that had been discontinued for many years. Point two. Jiang Shuan was stunned for a moment, but then she looked at the broken environment around her, and her head hurt. Point two. She took the phone and opened it. There was actually a password, and she couldn't help but feel upset. She simply threw the phone aside and closed her eyes to rest. When a woman saw that Jiang Shuan didn't speak anymore, she also remained quiet and didn't disturb her. Point two. In the blink of an eye, the night flew by. Jiang Shuan was woken up by the bright morning sun. At that time, the woman she saw last night was sleeping on her right side. Her eyelids were black and blue. Point two. Jiang Shuan sighed. The woman instantly woke up. Wan, you're awake. Are you hungry? Mommy will buy you your favorite dumplings, too. Jiang Shuan shook her head. No need. Right now. Her heart was still in a mess, and she had no appetite at all. Point two. The woman nodded. Then do you want some milk, too? Jiang Shuan still shook her head. Is there a TV? I want to watch some TV. Jiang Shuan had already calmed down, and the first thing she needed to do was to figure out information about the world around her. Point two. The woman shook her head and then said to her, "If there's no TV, is the newspaper okay, too?" Jiang Shuan nodded. Yes, as long as there was information, she wanted. Point two. Then, the woman walked out, and before long, she came back with a newspaper in her hand. Point two. Jiang Shuan took the newspaper, but after flipping through a few pages, she frowned. This newspaper was a hospital newspaper, and it was full of academic papers. Even if there was gossip, it was a story about a girl who accidentally got pregnant and then came to this hospital to have an abortion. Jiang Shuan was very disappointed, so she casually flipped through a few pages and threw it aside. Point two. The woman saw that Jiang Shuan only flipped through a few pages. Is it not good, too? Jiang Shuan didn't answer. The woman saw Jiang Shuan's listless look and turned to leave the ward. Jiang Shuan glanced at her, but she didn't care. After all, she was currently in a panic. This strange body, this strange environment, What had happened to her, too? She had no clue. Before she knew it, more time had passed quietly. She felt a sense of hunger in her stomach. When she came back to her senses, she realized that the woman had come back after a long time. Point two. A rustling sound came from outside her door. Point two. Jiang Shuan turned her head slightly. After a long time, she saw that the woman and a nurse were carrying a television set into the television cabinet. The nurse turned around and saw that Jiang Shuan was awake. She gave her a sideways glance. "You're not young anymore. Why are you still so willful? Would it kill you to watch less television for one day? Don't you know that your mother is old and her legs aren't healthy, too? Miss Nurse, thank you for your help. I thought it was quite boring to sit in this ward all the time, so I brought a TV set over to watch a TV series." The woman had just moved the TV set and was still breathing heavily. She couldn't catch her breath. Point two. The nurse didn't say anything more and left on her own. Jiang Shuan ignored the nurse's rebuke and just looked at the woman. She couldn't help but think of her deceased mother, and her eyes turned red. "Wan Wan, what do you want to watch?" Two. Jiang Shuan was still immersed in her grief when she heard the woman's caring voice. Jiang Shuan came back to her senses. "Just show some news, too." Oh. The woman knew that her daughter studied journalism, so it was normal for her to want to watch this kind of program. So she found a news channel for Jiang Shuan. Point two. "Then watch some TV. Mom will buy you some food, too." Jiang Shuan nodded. The woman put on a serious news channel. Jiang Shuan looked at the logo and found it familiar. It was the idiotic design unique to TV Station B. A huge weight seemed to have been lifted from her chest. Point two. She hadn't disappeared to some random place. She was still living in her original world. She looked at the bottom of the screen. July 20th, 2015. It had been 20 days since the day of her accident. Two. A full 20 days. How many things had happened? Not to mention the fact that it was the entertainment industry, where the wind and clouds could change in an instant. Two. What happened to her body? Was it already two? And that woman. She didn't dare to think about it anymore, afraid that she would collapse. The footsteps outside the door sounded again. Not long after, the door opened and 3 women came in. One of them was holding a fruit basket, another was holding flowers, and the other was holding a bag of snacks. "Jiang Shuan, I heard from Annie that you're awake." "That's great." The petite woman holding the flowers in her hands said in surprise with her eyes sparkling. Then she stuffed the flowers into Jiang Shuan's hands. Point two. In an instant, the fragrance assailed her nose. Jiang Shuan was puzzled. Didn't she transmigrate? Firstly, she did not know these people at all. Secondly, she had looked in the mirror and there was a completely unfamiliar face in it, too. But why was she also called Jiang Shuan? The same name? Zhou Liqing. Can you not be so surprised? Shuan just woke up and needs to rest. The tallest girl among the 3 girls added speechlessly. She put the snacks in her hands by the bedside, then went up to take the flowers that the girl had stuffed into Jiang Shuan's arms and put them on the bedside table. Then she looked at Jiang Shuan with concern. "Shuan, are you feeling better, too?" The petite woman named Zhou Liqing pouted and said with tears in her eyes, "I'm just worried about Shuan. She's been unconscious for more than half a month and finally woke up. How can I not be excited, too?" "Okay, be quiet." The girl who had not spoken all this time smiled. Point two. Jiang Shuan looked at the 3 people in front of her and knew that they might be good friends with this body. She could not help but smile when she saw them staring at her with warm and caring eyes. They seemed to have a deep friendship. Good friends? Is there really such a thing as friendship in this world? 2. You guys are here, take a seat. She didn't know them, but she would still invite them seriously. Point two. The woman named Zhou Liqing sat on Jiang Shuan's bed. "Shuan, the dorm is so quiet when you're not here, so you have to get well soon." 2. The tall girl also nodded. "But you were really unlucky this time. The chandelier at the banquet actually fell on your head. This probability is probably the same as if you won the lottery. 2. But I think the unlucky one is the big star whose name is the same as yours." Zhou Liqing, who was sitting on the side, immediately interrupted. She was just 1 step away from the Grand Slam, and her best friend took the award. "I'm telling you, even if you think about it, you know that the Golden Age Awards must have had some dirty tricks up its sleeve. But big stars are really disgusting. They don't behave well in their private lives. Look at that indecent video. TSK, TSK, TSK. I always thought that she was cold and indifferent, but I was wrong about her feelings. Indeed, a star's appearance and reality cannot be equated. But in the end, she committed suicide. Sigh, it's a pity that she died like this. After all, her acting skills were so good and she created so many classics. I don't know if there's anyone more beautiful than her. Zhou Liqing said regretfully. Her voice also dropped a bit. Point two. Wan, what's wrong? The woman who had been quiet all this time looked at Jiang Shiwan with concern. Shiwan shook her head. Point two. Then, Zhou Liqing continued gossiping. I heard that the male in the indecent video is her boss, Lin Shi, 3. The tall girl nodded and replied, I guess so. Jiang Shiwan was popular, but she's not the daughter of a rich family and didn't have any scandals. She must have been backed by some big financier, who I guess was Lin Shi. She's so lucky, too. Zhou Liqing nodded in infatuation. I would pay to be able to sleep with Lin Shi for a night, too. Stop talking about that. Shiwan felt her heart ache when she thought about the video. Point two. The three girls looked at each other. Shiwan, you too. I'm tired. I want to rest, too. The girl who hadn't said much so far spoke up. Qian Mingfei. Zhou Liqing, you guys. Shiwan just woke up and needs to rest, too. Qian Mingfei was the tall girl. She lowered her head and apologized. Sorry, Shiwan. We were wrong. Too. Zhou Liqing pouted. I didn't do it on purpose. You know that. She was excited when talking about the topic. After all, she already had one foot in the entertainment industry. Point two. Jiang Shiwan just shook her head to indicate that she was fine. Everyone thought that she was really uncomfortable, so they said, then you rest first. We'll go back to school first, too. The girls left. Point two. Jiang Shiwan sat on the bed and lowered her head. Her long eyelashes covered the surging emotions in her eyes. Lin Shi. She thought that he cared about her. She thought that he loved her too. But all of this was just her own thoughts, too. They were right. Lin, she was her financier, just a financier. It was a pity that in this transaction of money and sex, she was the one who changed the deal, too. And that woman, she thought that they were sisters who had walked side by side, but she didn't expect that she would actually die in her hands. And in such an aggrieving way, too. Her heart started to ache, and tears kept falling. She had always been the strong Jiang Shiwan, the Jiang Shiwan who never cried. She couldn't forgive Lin Shi, even if they were indeed like what he said, but he had slept with that woman after all, too. And that woman, she had to expose her true colors to the public so that she could get revenge. Only then would she be brought to justice, too. Asterisk, too. Her days of recuperation were simple and peaceful. Point two. There were no endless jobs, endless movies, endless songs, fake greetings, and faces with all kinds of masks. In just half a month, Jiang Shiwan felt like she had lived a whole lifetime in the isolated hospital. Point two. Jiang Shiwan's emotions had also calmed down temporarily, and she slowly accepted the strange phenomenon that had occurred and the information around her. Point two. During this period, Station B sent a leader with a fruit basket and some compensation money. They told Jiang Shiwan to rest well. They would give her an A on the TV station's summer internship report. They also said that they would reserve an internship spot for her in her fourth year. Point two. After that, Qian Mingfei, Zhou Liqing, and Sun Huayu would visit a few more times. They didn't tell her any more gossip about the entertainment industry. They just said that school was about to start soon and that they would be busy looking for jobs, writing papers, and preparing for tests. It felt so annoying. Point two. When it was quiet again in her room, Jiang Shiwan's head hurt. She didn't expect that she, who had graduated from university many years ago, would have to prepare for tests again. Most importantly, she and the original owner of this body didn't study the same major at all. 2. Asterisk, too. Days passed one by one. In the blink of an eye, it was autumn again. Point two. On this day, the sky was clear and the clouds were a beautiful white. They looked like long bands of smoke drifting along with the wind. Point two. Jiang Shiwan could finally be discharged from the hospital. The person who called herself Shiwan's mother was exceptionally happy. She called a taxi to take the two of them home together, and then went to the market to buy groceries. Point 2. Jiang Shuan looked at the dirty and unfamiliar place and felt like she was about to break down. This wasn't a home. It was clearly just some place where one could sleep on the floor, too. Although she had accepted the supernatural phenomenon of returning to life, and although she had known that the original owner of this body had a poor family background, she really didn't expect it to be so ridiculously bad, too. It was probably a rented basement that hadn't been renovated. 2 gray cement pillars lay in the middle of the room. This made the originally small room seem even more crowded. Point 2. The walls on all 4 sides were only painted once. It was old and was already grayish-yellow. Point 2. Inside the door, 2/3 of the room was separated by a cloth curtain. Jiang Shuan guessed that behind the curtain was probably a place for sleeping on the floor. Point 2. A wooden table and 3 benches. These pieces of furniture had definitely been through the vicissitudes of time. If they were put in an antique flea market, people would probably buy them as treasures. On the right were a single gas stove, a red and white bucket, and a cupboard. Point 2. Other than being old, the only other adjective Shuan could think of for the place was dirty. The already oppressive space was even more suffocating because of the decorations, too. Jiang Shuan had thought that the hospital was in poor condition, but now, in comparison, it was simply luxurious and low-key, too. There was a straw mat on the ground, and on top of it was a neatly folded blanket. There was a buckwheat pillow with a bottle of flour due next to it. Point 2. It was the end of summer and the beginning of autumn, and the weather was still hot. She could make do with this for a few nights, but what about the winter? Jiang Shuan really wanted to leave, but since she had taken over this body, she should do her duty as its host. Moreover, without the identity of the host, she would not be able to take a single step in society. 2. Money, money, money. Jiang Shuan thought that she still had a large amount of savings and finances, which might be able to solve her current situation, but she did not know if her identity card had been revoked by the Public Security Bureau. No matter what, she had to give it a try. Point 2. With this thought, she left the dilapidated room. Before she had walked far, she saw the original owner's mother walking back from the market with a large bag. Point 2. Wan, why don't you go into? Jiang Shuan shook her head. I still have to go out to do something, too. The woman said, Go out? Do you have any money on you, too? Jiang Shuan blushed and shook her head. Yes, she was penniless, but she still had to go out. How long would it take to get to her mansion, too? The woman smiled and took out a handful of money from her pocket. It was red, green, and even included a dime. She took 2 red $100 bills and stuffed them into Jiang Shuan's hands, then picked out all the $1 coins. Come back soon. Mommy will make you your favorite braised pork, too. Jiang Shuan accepted the money and nodded. Okay, too. Although the woman in front of her was not her mother, her love for this body was bright and clear. If her mother was still in the world, too. Looking at the woman's eyes, Jiang Shuan lowered her head and turned around in a fluster. She said in a muffled voice, Then I'll leave first, too. Not long after she left the community, she reached one of the main roads of City B. There were endless streams of cars on the road, and the pedestrians were either walking in a hurry or strolling leisurely. Their postures were completely different. Point 2. Jiang Shuan stood still and watched these people pass in front of her. She couldn't help but be at a loss. Point 2. How long had it been since she had been able to appear on this kind of street? 2. She couldn't remember. It felt like a lifetime ago. Point 2. Before she debuted, she had been running around the school and company all day, and all kinds of studies pressed down on her. After debuting, she became famous in one fell swoop, and her status skyrocketed. She had luxury cars to pick her up, bodyguards to open doors, assistants to escort her, cameras in front of her, and reporters behind her. There were thousands of them. Even if she was mischievous once in a while and went out without any makeup, she would easily be recognized and surrounded by people. Point 2. So how long had it been since she had freely walked down a road? 2. When her shoulder brushed by a passerby, Jiang Shuan came back to her senses. Looking at the unfamiliar road, she actually did not know how to get to her destination. Point 2. Fortunately, there was a bus stop not far away. Jiang Shuan had only walked a few steps before she joined a crowd. On the side of the bus stop, there were still quite a few people waiting for the bus. Jiang Shuan turned around and saw an advertisement for a drink on the advertisement screen of the bus stop. Point 2. Under the blue sky and white clouds, a fresh and beautiful female celebrity was drinking a drink with a faint smile on her face, as if it was the best drink in the world. Point 2. Under the green main background, the scene looked fresh and natural. The first time anyone saw it, they would feel relaxed and happy. After a few more glances, it was as if fresh air was blowing in their faces. Point 2. In the upper right corner of the screen, there was an advertisement line. Drink XX green tea and let yourself breathe. Point 2. In the spokesperson line, there was also a dazzling adjective. Asia's popular beauty, pure heavenly queen. Sun Wanyu. Point 2. How ironic. Point 2. She got on the bus to her Xingyue home and looked at the familiar high-rise buildings around her. She was slightly excited. 20 minutes later, she got off the bus and walked for a while. Finally, she saw a familiar place. She could not help but feel her eyes sting. She walked forward and was stopped by a few security guards. Did she have an invitation from the owner? If not, she could not enter. Point 2. She was stunned and nodded. She then remembered that the people living in Xingyue were either rich or celebrities, so they could not just let anyone enter. Point 2. After a long while, she looked at the security guard. I have something to do. I'm here to see my boyfriend, too. The security guard also looked at Shiwan awkwardly. Miss, don't make things difficult for me. Jiang Shuan bit her lip. I just need to go in for a while. I really have something very important to do. Right now, her home was very poor, but she had an anonymous deposit and bank card at her old place, so she had to get it back. Point 2. The security guard still shook his head. Although he looked at this girl quite pitifully, he still had to do his job as well. Point 2. The clouds in the sky gradually thickened, and the sky suddenly darkened. Shiwan and the security guard were at a stalemate. She could understand the security guard, but at the same time, she had her own things she needed to do. Point 2. The wind was strong, and it messed up Shiwan's long hair. Point 2. She looked at the security guard. The security guard shook his head. The moment she turned her head, she saw a handsome man in white casual sportswear slowly walk out from inside. Point 2. When Shiwan saw his face clearly, even though she had been in the entertainment industry for many years and had seen all kinds of handsome men, she could not help but sigh. This man is really good-looking, too. He was tall and had a jade-like face and a pair of black eyes. He only glanced over slightly, and his eyes were shining brightly. Point 2. Shiwan had been in the entertainment industry for many years, and she had a good eye for people. She could tell that this person was cold and unapproachable. Point 2. It was just that, too. She could not wait anymore, so she could only take a gamble. Even if it was a mistake, could it be worse than her current situation? 2. Shiwan thought for a moment and had an idea. Then, she bit her lip and ran over quickly. She grabbed his arm and said coquettishly, Darling, you're finally out. I've been waiting for you for a long time, too. At the same time, she saw the security guard looking at her with a strange expression, as well as the man next to her, too. She also turned her head and saw the man next to her. He was frowning, and a hint of disdain flashed across his eyes. Even though Shiwan had been in the entertainment industry for a while and her skin was thick enough, she blushed because of the contempt that this man inadvertently revealed. Point 2. Let go. His voice was neither high nor low, but everyone present could hear him. Just as Shiwan had expected, he was cold and aloof, unapproachable. Point 2. The security guard standing at the side laughed. Miss, it's getting dark. You should go back. What he meant was, Miss, stop fooling around. Point 2. Shiwan was a little embarrassed. She unconsciously loosened her grip on his arm, but when she thought about what she had to do, she unconsciously tightened her grip. Her big red eyes made her look pitiful. My dear, don't be angry. I didn't answer your call because someone stole my phone. Then, she looked up at his thin crimson lips and kissed him without hesitation. Point 2. Please help me, too. These few words disappeared between her lips and teeth. She was pushed away by him very quickly. A pair of cold eyes stared unblinkingly at Shiwan. There was a dense anger between his brows, as if he was about to explode. Point 2. Shiwan knew that she had gone too far, but there was no other way, too. They stood opposite each other, and the atmosphere remained stagnant. Point 2. Perhaps it was the trace of despair and fragility in her eyes that moved his heart, but he only said, "Follow me." Then he turned around and walked away. Point 2. Shiwan looked at his back and started laughing. One awkward good person. Point 2. The security guard opened his mouth and watched the two of them leave. He could not help but mutter, "What? Couldn't you have just said that young Master Lee is your boyfriend?" He shook his head and walked towards the security booth. He seemed to have thought of something and could not help but exclaim, "Young Master Lee has a girlfriend?" Jiang Shiwan followed behind him and wiped her tears. There was a burning pain around her eyes. She looked around at the familiar road and the familiar scenery and felt dazed. Point 2. Before long, Jiang Shiwan said, "Thank you. I'm sorry for just now. I know the way." She thanked him again, then ran towards a small path, ignoring how his eyebrows came together in a frown as she passed him. Point 2. After about 10 minutes, Jiang Shiwan arrived at the home registered to her name. She had always liked silence, but the surroundings were cold and quiet, and the flowers at the door had withered. The silence seemed deadly. Point 2. She calmed herself down, took out the key from under the flower pot next to her door, and let herself inside. She tried to not think about anything and walked straight to her room. Then, she went to the innermost layer of her wardrobe and retrieved the safe that was inside. Point 2. Her passbook and jewelry were all kept in the safe. Fortunately, it was double-locked, and no one but Jiang Shiwan would have been able to get past her security system. Point 2. All the treasures from her past life were in front of her, but there was one diamond ring that she couldn't take her eyes off. It was the least valuable one, but it had been a birthday gift from Lin Shi. She thought, at the time, that he was going to propose to her. She had waited for so long, but there was no response. In the end, too, she quickly shook her head. She did not want to think about the scene from the movie of her past life, where the sweetness was actually poisonous and rotten. She stopped looking at the presents and put them all back into the safe. She found the passbook at the bottom. There were 3 accounts in total, and each of them was worth 1,000,000 shares. She had originally intended to donate them to charity, but now they were like a panacea. Point 2. Jiang Shiwan put the passbook in the inner pocket of her clothes. She stood up abruptly, put the safe back in its original place, and walked to the dressing table. Point 2. Hung above the dressing table was a large poster of her. Her bright smile shone, and the delicate corners of her eyes were raised. She was as beautiful as a vixen. As she stood in front of the dressing table, she could not help but put her hand to the mirror when she saw her young and tender face, too. When she thought about how she had been the best actress and had ended up harmed to such an extent, she realized that she could only blame herself for not seeing people clearly, too. "Sun Wan Yu," she thought. "I will pay you back for everything you've done to me, too." Asterisk, 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 too. It was not as difficult to leave as it had been to enter. The security guard thought that she was young Master Lee's girlfriend and even smiled at her. Shiwan let out a sigh of relief and took advantage of the night to rush home. Point 2. When Shiwan returned home, it was already very, very late. The basement was brightly lit, and the mother of the body was waiting for her. Point 2. When she saw Shiwan return, she quickly stood up. "Wan Wan, where have you been? Have you only just come back? Does your head still hurt? Have you taken your medicine?" One by one, the questions poured out like beans. Point 2. Shiwan was stunned, looking at the woman's aged face, and those eyes that could not hide their concern. The corners of her own mouth curled up slightly. "I went out for a walk. I'm sorry, Mother. I came back so late and made you worried, too. Does your head still hurt? Have you taken the medicine, too?" Shiwan shook her head. "It doesn't hurt anymore. I'll go take it now, too." Late at night, she took out her passbook. Although it was only 3,000,000 yuan, less than 1/10 of her savings, this amount of money could help her get out of this predicament and do what she needed to do. Point 2. At 6:30 in the morning, the sun finally shone through the clouds. At that time, it was so early that even the office workers had not woken up yet. Point 2. Shiwan's mother had already left to set up the morning stall. When Shiwan woke up, she saw the soy milk, porridge, and side dishes on the table, as well as the medicine she had to take this morning. Warmth flowed through her heart. How long had it been since she had enjoyed this kind of kinship and care? 2. Shiwan finished her breakfast and went out for a walk. Although she was no longer a celebrity, The habits that she had developed over the years couldn't be changed overnight. Point two. When she went out, she looked up and saw the strong blue of the sky, finally emerging from behind the pure white clouds. She could not help but sigh. Finally, there was a clear blue sky in City B. Point two. After walking slowly for 2 rounds, her fair skin dripped with crystal beads of sweat. Her cheeks had become pink like plump and tender apples, ready to be bitten into. Many morning joggers could not help but turn their heads as they passed by this exquisite girl. Some young men even whistled at Shiwan. Point two. Shiwan jogged home slowly and washed her face. Looking at the unfamiliar face in the mirror, she was in a daze again. Point two. Even after looking at her new face for more than a month, she still felt a little out of place. This was also a young and beautiful face. She was not as beautiful as she had been in her former life, but she was still so beautiful that people around her could not breathe. How could she put it? She had a fairy-like aura about her. Point two. She caressed the skin on her cheeks. Her skin was as smooth as butter. It was good to be young. Her face was full of collagen and carried a fresh temperament unique to students. This was something that the 28-year-old her hadn't had, no matter how much she took care of herself. Point two. Her phoenix-like eyes were clear and bright. However, before the strange incident, her predecessor had been used to hiding herself in plain black and gray clothes. She had also worn a pair of half-framed, flat, and infinite glasses, which forced her large eyes to look half their size. Point two. She lowered her head to look at a box of cream foundation bottles that were several degrees more yellow than her own skin. She understood. With such a face, but coming from such a family, if she didn't hide her natural beauty, she would probably be in endless trouble. Point two. However, this face also gave her the confidence to return to the entertainment industry. The pure face that Soon Won-yu was so proud of was nothing compared with this pure face, especially with light powder and makeup applied. Point two. She didn't think too much about it. The most important thing now was to return to the entertainment industry. She patted her face and returned to bed. She took out an old handbag and found her ID card, bank card, and phone. Point two. All of this had to be redone. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk 2. She canceled all the bank cards and opened a new account. She didn't change the password. She wanted to be reborn. Point two. She took only 1 million yuan from her passbook and put it on her new card. Then she bought a new cell phone and another new card. After doing all of this, she finally felt like she was Jiang Shuan. Point two. Now, the only thing left was to return to that place. That woman, the best friend that she had once loved with all her heart. Point two. She didn't know that Soon Won-yu hated her so much so that sleeping with the man she loved, even taking her life, wasn't enough. For her, that she had slept with the man Jiang Shiwan loved. Soon Won-yu had made her infamous and had stolen the Grand Slam record that she always wanted to destroy too. She would never forget that sentence. Jiang Shiwan, do you know why I want you to die? Because I hate you, too. I want you to die at your most glorious time. Then you'll see that no matter how glorious you are, no matter how much you've sacrificed behind the scenes, I still slept with your man and stepped on you to get to the top. The best friend of the tragic movie queen will never lack headlines. And you, go to hell and hate me. 2. The weather was clear the next day. The clouds were high in the sky, and there was very little wind. Point two. Shiwan's 3 roommates brought fruit snacks to the small basement. When they arrived, Zhou Liqing pouted. Shiwan, why can't I get through to your phone, too? Shiwan had switched to her new phone card the day before, and she hadn't wanted to inform them immediately. She said, I lost my phone. I just switched to a new one yesterday with a new number. Give me your numbers, too. Zhou Liqing nodded to show that she understood. You should have changed your phone a long time ago. You. Her voice trailed off when she saw her other 2 roommates winking at her out of the corner of her eye. Thinking of her family's situation, she immediately changed her tone. Show me a new phone. 2. When Shiwan took out the latest iPhone, her 3 friends could not hide the surprise on their faces. An iPhone? An iPhone. Zhou Liqing was so shocked that she was almost incoherent. Point two. Shiwan remembered her current identity. Oh, I'm paying for the contract, and that covers the charge on the device. It can be considered a 0 yuan purchase, too. How could no one know what a phone contract was? Xiwan had dropped a huge bomb on her friends, and the girls were so stunned that they were actually fooled by her story. Point two. Subsequently, Xiwan asked for the numbers of some important people in their class to inform herself about her school. Most of the time, she listened quietly. There was no point in saying too much. Point two. There are still more than 20 days until the start of school. Who are you going to choose as a tutor? Qian Mingfei asked Xiwan. Xiwan remembered, to her surprise, that the owner of this body was a student entering her 4th year of university. The school was not the one she had attended, and her major was different too. Her head ached. There had to be a way out of this. There was still a whole year. She'd have to write her graduation thesis, but she should be able to rush it. Point two. Who did you choose? Xiwan asked. Point two. I want to have Li Meijun as my tutor. Li Qing plans to choose Panda, and Huayu wants to pick Xinjiang, too. That's right, that's right. Zhou Liqing nodded as if she was pounding garlic with her head. Huayu plans to choose Yama, too. Then I'll also choose Chunjiang. After chatting for a while, Jiang Xuan could see that Sun Huayu was a stable, generous person. The tutor she chose should also be pretty good. Point two. F asterisk CK. You're also choosing Yama? He's very strict. I heard that he made people revise their graduation thesis almost 100 times. Some seniors walked out halfway through defending their papers. Think about it. Qian Mingfei was shocked. Point two. Zhou Liqing giggled. But our Xiwan is also a top student. Xun Jiangfei isn't going to know what to do with her. Two. That's true. Two. The four of them chatted for a long time and only left, reluctantly, long after the sun had gone down. After everyone left, Xiwan tidied up the basement. Point two. Later on, Xiwan's cheap mother came home. The two of them ate a little, and although the food was simple, the taste was good. The mother of this girl was a good cook. No wonder there was a food stall outside. Point two. After the meal, Xiwan looked at her cheap mother. She wasn't even 40 years old and already had a daughter who was about to graduate. Then, she looked at the shabby house. No heating, no air conditioning. She said tactfully, "Mom, let's rent somewhere else, too." Her mother was still with shock. The only thing that moved were tears streaming down her face. Point two. Xiwan quickly took a napkin from the table to wipe her tears. Point two. Her mother broke her silence. It's me, I'm useless. I'm a bad mother, too. Xiwan knew that she didn't have money. It made sense. City enforcement in City B was very strict. An unlicensed stall, like her mother's, was locked in a guerrilla war against the city's enforcement officers. More than just that, City B had heavy fog, and there were frequent television reports about the quality of food at unlicensed stalls. Everyone left in a hurry, and they rarely stopped to buy food. Because of that, there was not much money left to save each month after their expenses. Point two. Xiwan said carefully, "Mom, I have some money, too." Xiwan made up a lie about how she had won 100,000 yuan in the lottery. It couldn't be any more fake. However, this middle-aged woman, who loved her daughter dearly, seemed to believe her. Even though she was initially worried that the money wasn't from the right source, Xiwan promised her several times, and eventually she nodded in agreement. Point two. Let's rent a better house, too. Her mother nodded. It was actually Xiwan's intention to buy a house, not rent one. This sum of money, 3 million yuan, was a considerable amount for an ordinary person. In a place like City B, however, every inch of land was extremely valuable. It was simply wishful thinking to try and buy a house within the 3rd ring road. Point two. When she thought of how her previous houses had disappeared without a trace, her heart ached. She had no relatives. She hadn't written a suicide note. Even more than that, everyone knew that she had only had one best friend, Sun Wanyu, and she hated the thought of her inheriting all of her things, too. She did not want to think about these troublesome matters. She still had to solve the issue of where they were going to live. Point two. In the end, she bought a 100-square-meter villa in a newly opened district in the suburbs. Although the location was remote, it was still very close to the subway station. The price was reasonable, and it sold for 2 million yuan. Point two. The name on the real estate certificate was, naturally, her own, but the excuse to her mother was that the monthly rent was 1,500 yuan. Point two. Having a busy schedule healed her wounds. The television station's final compensation of 30,000 yuan was paid, and it was transferred to her mother's bank card. Point two. With the blink of an eye, time passed, and summer faded into golden autumn. Fourth-year students were known for being either hardworking or lazy. Some people had no classes, no internships, and spent a year on their final project because they were idle. But many did find a job, often in an office, and began to work. Unfortunately for them, they were often paid less than regular employees. Point two. The Jiang Xuan that had preceded her in this body would definitely have belonged to the hardworking group. In the previous 3 years of her education, she had taken many busy courses and worked part-time every day to earn some living expenses. Point two. One of her teachers had recommended her for the summer internship at the television station. Almost every day, she left her home early and returned in the night. She had been a conscientious and busy worker. Point two. After the chandelier fell on Shiwan's head, nobody at the station said anything, but it was clear that in their hearts, they disliked her. The concept of feng shui was important in a place like this. If something happened, the most important factor was bad luck. Whether or not the person was injured came second. The lighting technician was responsible for the accident, but Shiwan was also angry with the manager of the television station. They waited until after Shiwan recovered to inform her that she would not continue with her internship at the station, but they had given her enough for her internship. All for the sake of maintaining a good image, of course. Point two. Shiwan had initially thought of using the television station as a stepping stone to get to the entertainment industry, but it seemed impossible now. Point two. In her former life, she had ended up in the entertainment by coincidence. She was 18 when she was selected, with Sun Wanyu, by talent scouts. After that, she took the supporting role in a prominent director's film and became popular. However, in the entertainment industry, where beautiful girls and handsome stars were updated day and night like social media posts, she was only a flash in the pan. Point two. Her career moved slowly for the first year. She played some small roles, cannon fodder mainly. It was enough to make a name for herself in the public eye and earn enough money for her lifestyle and college tuition. Initially, she thought that she would be able to support herself easily. However, unexpectedly, at the end of the company's annual meeting, it came down to her or Sun Wanyu. Well, the producer favored Jiang Xuan, and the assistant director wanted her best friend too. The producer was fat and pig-headed. He tried to cheat on her, but he came out of it with his face covered in blood. They fought badly, and only then did she truly wake up. As a beautiful female star, you had to keep a lot of people happy if you wanted your image to stay clean. Point two. That was how the saying went, if you try to avoid trouble, trouble will come to you, too. And to get rid of this trouble, you had to have a rich or powerful family. Point two. Armed with either to back you up. As long as you weren't a completely useless person, you can make in the entertainment industry like a fish in water. Point two. So, in her previous life, she found support and managed to solve the commotion caused by the producer. That made her and Sun Wanyu's career in the entertainment industry run more smoothly. Point two. She was ashamed of her actions, but she had reached the end of her rope. She had risked everything and eventually found a bright path at the end of the darkness. It helped, of course, that Lin she was rich and handsome. The journey from then on was smooth. She progressed quickly to the top and was truly famous. Soon she was winning many prestigious awards for Best Actress, both at home and abroad. Point two. But that had been 10 years ago, too. If the entertainment circle 10 years ago was a muddy puddle, now it was a murky swamp. Point two. There was an old saying, too little porridge cannot feed too many monks. But still, there were many people who did not know the situation and were still swarming, eagerly trying to get in. Point two. Back in the present, however, the current her was a regular student. She had no identity, background, or connections. It would be difficult for her to get into the industry again. Point two. Although she had accumulated a lot of connections, she had been dead for 3 months. Point two. Thinking that all these connections would now belong to Sun Wanyu, she felt even more resentful. Point two. Sun Wanyu, she thought, just you wait, too. The weather in early autumn still carried the heat of the summer. The handsome men and beautiful women that walked on the road were still dressed in cool clothes. allowing people to feast their eyes on them. Point 2. Shiwan wore a white chiffon dress with her long hair draped over her shoulders. She walked with Sun Huayu to meet her mentor, Chunjiang. Along the way, many boys looked at her. Point 2. Sun Huayu was a shy person, and Shiwan had completely transformed from a chatterbox into a person who spoke very little after her life changed so quickly. As a result, the two girls did not talk very much as they walked. Point 2. Just like that, the two of them slowly walked. Their form turned into a meandering ink painting in the eyes of those around them. Point 2. When school had first started, Shiwan had been nervous. Fortunately, this body was not talkative. In addition, her acting skills were still very good, so she didn't arouse the suspicion of her classmates. Point 2. But even so, after spending time together, in the eyes of Sun Huayu, who was the most meticulous, there was still a hint of something. Point 2. Shiwan, you've changed a lot since the chandelier fell on you. 2. Shiwan's heart skipped a beat. Have I, too? Sun Huayu stopped. Shiwan, who was originally walking by her side, took one more step forward and then stopped. She turned her head towards the serious-looking Sun Huayu. Point 2. Sun Huayu looked at her good friend, who was one step ahead. Her long black hair was parted in the middle, framing her full face. Her face was white, her eyes were large, and her eyelashes were long and curly. Her nose was small and delicate, and her lips were cherry red. Her chiffon dress flowed softly in the breeze. She was like a fairy from the 9 heavens, walking on clouds. Point 2. Shiwan had always been gorgeous. She was known for being the cold and aloof beauty of the broadcasting department. But when did her beauty become so dazzling that people couldn't take their eyes off her? 2. Sun Huayu always felt that the Shiwan in front of her was not Shiwan she had known before. Something was off, but she couldn't put her finger on what was wrong. Point 2. The atmosphere gradually became heavy. Shiwan felt the cold wind stop blowing. Point 2. Her heart was in a mess. How had she let the cat out of the bag? It was impossible. She was certain that she had gathered enough information from various places during this period of time. That, coupled with her understanding of her original body, meant her acting skills should not be discovered by others. Point 2. Sun Huayu, however, was certainly the most intelligent and meticulous person among them. Point 2. Sun Huayu looked at Shiwan for a long time before she could say anything. Point 2. Did you get a whitening shot? 2. At 2. Shiwan laughed out loud. After all, she was not in her original body. She was not afraid of her natural beauty. After all, she had been a gorgeous beauty in the beginning. Point 2. I just started using a foundation that matches my original skin color. 2. Some images flashed through Sun Huayu's mind. She nodded a few times. No wonder. 2. I remember that you used to wake up very early and go to bed very late, but it was really hard to notice if you didn't look carefully. I really thought that you'd received the whitening needle. However, I have to say that your skin is more stunning indeed. Sun Huayu nodded and continued. Even if you did cover up your skin color before, you still looked very beautiful. 2. Thank you, 2. The two of them walked slowly again. Don't mention it. Where are you thinking of working now? It's impossible for you to travel to so many different places all day and work part-time. The television station in this city is also, too. The entertainment industry, too. Sun Huayu was shocked. Why do you want to go to that kind of place? She asked in disbelief. Point 2. Not good, too. Of course not. That kind of place looks bright and beautiful, but who knows what's going on behind closed doors. People who study broadcasting had contempt for actors, although they try to hide it. Look at the diva with your name, Jiang Shiwan. If it wasn't for that scandal at the Golden Age Awards ceremony, who would have known such an actress, who looked like she had no dark secrets, was a loose woman in private. She was one of the most beautiful and talented actresses in the industry, but she was alone. Maybe that was why she had to depend on unspoken contracts with others in private to get to the top. 2. Shiwan felt a pang in her heart when she heard Sun Huayu, who didn't like to gossip, talk about her in a disdainful tone. Point 2. But she died after all. It's such a pity. Her movies and TV series are classics. Isn't it just an indecent video? Why kill yourself? Sun Huayu felt regretful for speaking of Jiang Shiwan so badly. So, Shiwan, do you really want to go to that kind of place? 2. Yes, too. It was a firm word. How could she not go? There was the person she hated the most in the whole world in that place. That woman, with her influence, was getting more and more comfortable. Point two. How could she let that person live so well? Let's go to Professor Chun Jiang's office. Two. Okay, two. The two of them proposed their topic to Professor Chun Jiang and listened to his guidance. Although the professor was strict, he was a good tutor to have. After reviewing their topic and giving them general feedback, he let the two of them leave. Point two. As they walked out of the office, they saw a gorgeous beauty walking in front of them in the corridor. She had white skin and red lips, big eyes, and a perky nose. She had a slim waist and long legs. Her wine-red skirt spread out behind her lazily as she towards the two of them. The C family's dress pulled into a V-neck at her chest, and her calves were faintly discernible as she moved. She wore the Hua family's latest rivet shoes. From this close, she was even more stunning than she had first appeared. Point two. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly, and she stared at Shiwan with a burning gaze. What a coincidence, you actually chose a teacher. There was a faint trace of disdain between her brows. Point two. Shiwan frowned slightly. Point two. Had her previous self offended her? Two. Shiwan looked at Sun Huayu, who narrowed her eyes. Li Yin, aren't you from the acting department? Two. The Department of Acting was different from the Department of Broadcasting. The acting department students were specially recruited art students, while the broadcasting department was a major undergraduate department. Professor Chun Jiang was famous for being strict, and the people who chose him were mostly top students from the broadcasting department. The performance department would never hire this professor as a teacher, which was why Sun Huayu asked this question. Point two. Who said someone from the performance department can't speak to Professor Chun Jiang? She smiled and then looked at Jiang Shiwan. I heard a few days ago that Jiang Shiwan was hit in the head by a chandelier. Did you recover so quickly, too? Thank you for your concern. Two. Li Yin pursed her lips at the delicate-looking Shiwan opposite her. She would not calm down. Why isn't her face broken, too? Her hostility towards Jiang Shiwan was really natural, like an instinct. It had often been said that two female tigers can never live together on the same mountain because they are too competitive with each other. Point two. It had started with the campus bell competition. Wherever Li Yin went, everyone paid attention to her. Even when she arrived at the acting department, which was known for its handsome men and beautiful women, she was still a beautiful flower. She still remembered that in the first semester of her freshman year, the school forum opened the annual campus bell competition, and she actually lost by 1 vote to Jiang Shuan, the bookworm in the broadcasting department, known for being a straight-A student. 2. At that time, she was so angry that she tore her new dress. Later, after carefully studying the photos of the two of them, she remained unconvinced. When it came to the delicate degree of their facial features, she felt Jiang Shiwan could never compare with her, even if she did have a fairy-like appearance. Point two. As a result, Li Yin often complained in her heart. She did not think that the pretentious fairy was any match for her. Point two. Speaking of which, it was impossible to compare the two because they had completely different styles of beauty. If Li Yin was a Huli Jing, a fox spirit, then Jiang Shuan was like Xuan Nu, the goddess of the 9 heavens. Both of their facial features were exquisite and charming. Point two. The school beauty pageant was one of the reasons why Li Yin hated Jiang Shuan. The other reason was that Jiang Yi, from the computer science department, stated publicly that he wanted to pursue Jiang Shuan. Point two. Jiang Yi had been Li Yan's Prince Charming since she was young. If it wasn't for Jiang Yi coming to this school to study at university, she would have long gone overseas. In the end, her Prince Charming actually liked her archenemy, too. Unbearable. Fortunately, Jiang Shuan was a total country bumpkin who worked part-time whenever she wasn't studying. She was nowhere to be seen on campus outside of class hours. Point two. Li Yin was out of the country when she heard about the accident during the summer vacation. A classmate, who was also an intern at the television station, called her to tell her all about how Jiang Shuan was at the celebration banquet for the Golden Age Awards when a crystal chandelier shattered over her head. The floor had been covered in blood and shards of crystal. She had almost died. Point two. But there she was on campus, alive, and without a broken face. Point 2. Li Yin had heard that Jiang Xuan was in the C5 teaching building when she was in the library, so she decided to check on the situation for herself. She had been wandering around near the corridor for a while when she heard that they were about to leave. Then she moved quickly and ran to the corner of the corridor so that she could walk towards them in an imposing manner. Finally, she said, "What a coincidence you actually chose a mentor." Just like that, she had appeared. Point 2. After she had said it, she felt extremely regretful. She was not stupid. She knew was underachieving in her acting classes. How would she get King Yama as a mentor, too? Oh, when Xuan heard Li Yin ask, "Why isn't your face broken?" she had only replied with one word. Point 2. Li Yin felt like she had punched into cotton. Her fair face was red and white, and looked exceptionally beautiful. In the end, she only snorted and said again, "I heard that you've been blacklisted by the television station, too." "Oh," Xuan repeated herself. Then she looked at Li Yin with a faint smile. And two, it was Li Yin's first time seeing Jiang Xuan like this. She was stunned for a moment, but then came back to her senses and said angrily, "Being blacklisted by the TV station is a very serious matter. Aren't you a broadcasting major? Don't you plan to be a host in the future, too?" Xuan looked at the little girl in front of her and couldn't help but smile. Sure enough, underneath this gorgeous beauty's so-called hostility was just the little girl's sense of sisterhood. Point 2. So you beg me? Yes, beg me, and I'll help you settle it, too. Sun Huayu knew that Li Yin was a fair, rich, and beautiful woman. Her family background was considered to be very superior. She heard that her family had a military and political background, and she knew that she didn't like Xuan. But seeing how she had spoken to Xuan left Sun Huayu stunned for a moment. Point 2. Xuan looked squarely at the little girl. "Okay, then I beg you to help me, too." Li Yan's face instantly turned red, and she stammered her words as she spoke. Why you? You? How can you be so unambitious? How can you be so shameless? Just say it, too." Xuan raised her eyebrows and looked at her in amusement. "If you can solve my trouble, then do it. Why should I beg you? Am I a fool that needs help making a decision? Or was Miss Li just saying it for the satisfaction of her mouth, too? Bah, it's just a phone call. Just you wait." With that, the glamorous Miss Li Yin turned around and left in large strides down the corridor. Point 2. Xuan and Sun Huayu looked at each other in dismay. Point 2. A week had passed since meeting Miss Li. Xuan had gradually forgotten about the matter. Point 2. As she finished setting the questions, she began thinking about how to enter the entertainment industry again. Point 2. If she remembered correctly, every November the major agencies would cooperate with the television stations to organize an event, the National University Beauty Contest. Point 2. It was a good opportunity to quickly enter the industry and gain a large number of fans. However, entertainers who came from the talent show industry would often become popular, but only for so long. There were evergreen actors, but very few. No matter how high-class they tried to make themselves, they could never rid themselves of their grassroots association. The hearts of the public always tasted the flavor of his hometown. Moreover, actors and entertainers with more formal backgrounds did not always approve of those who came from talent shows. It was very difficult for them to survive. Point 2. Another method was to send her resume to an agency. She had been in the entertainment industry for more than 10 years. In fact, she only cared about companies with financial strength. She had some impressions in her heart, but she did not care much about how many agencies there were in the industry. After all, at that time, she was certain that she would never change jobs and that she would stay at Huafeng Media for her entire life. Point 2. Huafeng Media was the management company of her predecessor, and the CEO of Huafeng Media, Lin Shi, had been her lover. No, he was just her financier, the financier that she had accidentally fallen in love with. Point 2. At that time, she was so stupid that she thought if she did not spend his money, she would not be a mistress, but a lover. She was so stupid that she had thought that they would be together for the rest of their lives. Point 2. What a big joke. Of course, she did not want to go to Huafeng Media again in this lifetime. Since she did not want to go to Huafeng Media, she would go to one of its rival companies. However, in her impression, there were not so many companies that could rival Huafeng Media. After all, it was a veteran economic company that had been operating for more than 50 years. It was said to be a giant in the industry. Point two. After thinking for a while, she vaguely remembered Lin Shi talking about Sky Shadow Media Company under the Sky Shadow Group. It was a strong opponent, even though the company had only started 6 years ago. Point two. The other company's CEO, if she remembered correctly, was called Li Zhan. Point two. Li Zhan was the kind of man, like an emperor, who could be called the favored son of heaven. In fact, he was at the center of a family who were all favored by heaven. Point two. His grandfather had been the founding father of the country, and even though he was retired, his influence in the government was still very strong. His father, Liu Wei, often appeared on the central government's 7 o'clock news on television. His mother, Zheng Yinin, was once an unrivaled beauty in the entertainment industry and a Grand Slam movie queen. She was also the only sister of the current CEO of the Zheng Group, one of the world's top 500 companies. She was thought of by many to be the true goddess of the entertainment industry. Point two. To think Li Zhan's father was so famous, it had a lot to do with marrying a true entertainment industry goddess. Point two. Li Zhan himself was definitely not a profligate, nor the kind of son who relied on his father. He graduated from a finance department's research institute at Stanford, and while still a student, he single-handedly founded the Sky Shadow Group. In just a few short years, he had built the company's scale and status to be on par with the old behemoth, Huafeng Media Group. Point two. Lin Shi and Lin Zhan were both big shots in the industry. One was from a wealthy family, while the other was from a noble family. And because they were both young, they were often compared. Female celebrities especially enjoyed such discussions. During banquets and events, they would gather together to gossip. The ones who were most talked about were these young masters from wealthy families, especially the ones who were handsome, successful in their careers, and extraordinary in their abilities. There were a few men to discuss who were powerful, handsome, and extraordinary in equal measure. However, the female celebrities often mentioned a certain two men more than most. Point two. Although she had not participated in their topics of conversation, there were still some places where she had to be polite. When she was bored during banquets, she listened to them gossip, and to pass the time, she sometimes interrupted them by saying, really? Is that so, too? Therefore, although she had never seen what Li Zhan looked like, she was still familiar with his information. After all, he was Lin Shi's only strong rival. Point two. Yes, Li Zhan did not often attend cocktail parties in public places. Most of the photos taken by the media were profile pictures. The only candid photos left were the cute childhood photos posted on his mother's Weibo account. Point two. She had a friend who worked for the Sky Shadow Group. According to her, in the 3 years that she had worked there, she could count the number of times she'd seen her boss, Li Zhan, on one hand. All the sightings had been from afar, but she had told Xuan that she was sure her boss was a super handsome man. Point two. She was thinking hard and drawing absent-mindedly when an unknown number suddenly flashed on her phone. Point two. She picked it up. Hello, two. Jiang Xuan, are you crazy? Why did you change your number? A high-pitched female voice yelled. Point two. Who are you? Xuan couldn't recognize the owner of the voice. Point two. You too. The other party hung up. Point two. Xuan sighed. Point two. Before long, the phone vibrated again. It was the same number. It's Li Yin. Miss Li was furious. She didn't stop for Xuan to speak and continue to shout. I've already helped you with the blacklist, but your sister actually changed her number. It took a lot of effort to find you. How hidden are you? You're already a senior. Why did you change your number, too? Li Yin was very angry. She wanted to show off her ability, but it had taken her 2 days to get Jiang Xuan's number. It was simply too much, too. Oh, thank you, too. That's it. Miss Li was burning with anger. Point two. And then two. Jiang Xuan. This is how you thank me, too. Xuan could imagine the gorgeous beauty's flushed and angry face. She couldn't help but laugh. I'll treat you to dinner tonight, too. Miss Li was tickled. I'll choose the address, too. Okay, too. After hanging up, Xuan saved Li Yan's number. Point two. Actually, that day, she had only teased Miss Li's pride. After all, looking at her overbearing manner, she was reminded of herself in the past. She also didn't really think that Li Yan's promise would be worth much. Her friends had told her that Li Yin didn't like her very much. However, they also said that Li Yin had never made trouble with her, which was strange. She would at most harumph and roll her eyes at Shiwan. Point two. She did not expect that a week later, she would actually take the initiative to call her to tell her that the matter had been resolved. Point two. She really did not care if she was on the television station's blacklist or not. This was because she wasn't interested in simply getting a hosting license to work in the future. Instead, she wanted to swim in the muddy waters of the industry's inner circle. Point two. She wanted to return the pain that Sun Wanyu had inflicted on her body 1,000 times over. Point two. She couldn't wait to see Sun Wanyu's expression when she found out that she was not dead, but had returned to life to exact revenge upon her. Point two. Not long after hanging up the phone, a text message from Li Yin arrived. 5:30 p.m., 68 Shualin Road, Fresh Gourmet Restaurant. 2. Shiwan had not been to the school long, so she did not know many places. In this day and age, she had Google and Baidu to help her find them, so she texted back, okay. She looked at the time. It was already 4:30 p.m. She had to be there in an hour, so she put down the pen and paper in her hand and got up. Point two. Shiwan tidied up her appearance before going out. It was probably a habit she developed working in the entertainment industry for decades. Point two. She felt dazed every time she looked into the mirror and saw an unfamiliar face staring back at her. However, as time passed, her heart gradually calmed down and she began to accept it. Point two. It was clear the previous Jiang Shiwan had not owned much makeup or skincare and hadn't done much in the way of maintenance. Instead, she would often use a yellow-colored foundation to cover her skin. The tone and color of her skin was good and had not been damaged, so when Shiwan entered this body, naturally, she wouldn't waste a gift from God. After all, she was an artist who relied on her face to make a living. How could she bear to hurt her own weapon, too? And so, during this period of time, Shiwan had bought a lot of skincare and makeup products. She had spent somewhere in the region of 10 to 20,000 yuan. Point two. Before going out, she washed her face and applied skincare. She put on a layer of sunscreen, moisturized, brushed her eyebrows, and applied some pink lip gloss. Her entire person was like a cherry blossom in spring, pink and dazzling. Point two. She wore an A-line shaped blue dress, paired with a pair of flat white sandals. Her long hair fell over her shoulders. She looked extremely beautiful. Point two. As Shiwan walked down the road, passers-by everywhere turned back to look at her. Point two. Shiwan checked the map. Shualin Road was not far from the school, and the bus was only 3 stops away. At 5:10 p.m., she arrived at the umami restaurant that Li Yin had chosen. Point two. The restaurant was quite low-key. The decor outside was similar to the shops on the side, but not as exaggerated. The red LED lights were blinding. Inside, however, it was completely different. Point two. On both sides of the door were 2 beautiful coral trees, surrounded by sparse, colorful neon lights. The hall was constructed out of black marble, and the passageways were fitted with red carpets. The beige marble tables were neatly arranged. Between the seats, there were bamboo curtains and hanging orchids for privacy. It was very elegant. Point two. Shiwan had just stepped inside the restaurant when a cold wind blew against her face. The 2 beautiful receptionists next to her sang out with clear and melodious voices, "Welcome." 2. A waitress in a black and white uniform walked over. "Hello. Welcome to Umami Restaurant. How many people do you have?" 2. 2. Do you have a reservation? 2. Shiwan didn't know if Li Yin had made a reservation, so she said, "My friend booked, and I'm early. May I take a look, too?" The waiter nodded. "Okay, Mississippi. Please follow me." When they came to the front desk, the waiter explained the situation. Then, the head waiter asked Shiwan, "May I know your friend's name?" 2. Li Yin. 2. Okay. Please wait a moment. 2. Okay, Mississippi. Your friend, Miss Li Yin, has booked a private room at the Emerald Blue Pavilion, the head waiter said with a smile. Point two. Shiwan was led into the private room. The attendant carefully poured tea and handed over the menu. Shiwan put the menu aside and said with a smile, "I'll wait for my friend to come before I order." 2. Okay, 2. A quarter of an hour passed, and Miss Li Yin arrived late. "You came very quickly." 2. Shiwan nodded. Only then did she notice that besides the attendant behind Li Yin, There was also a tall, handsome boy point two. Shiwan thought that the man was Li Yan's boyfriend. Anyway, she had not said anything about being alone in the text message. She smiled at the man, then shifted her gaze and handed the menu to Li Yan. I haven't ordered yet. Come and have a look, too. The waiter poured tea for Li Yan and her male guest, then stood to the side and waited patiently for her to order point two. Li Yan ordered quite a number of dishes, then said to the boy beside her, Jiang Yi, what do you want to have, too? Jiang Yi frowned. You have already ordered so much. That's enough, too. It was someone who knew her point two. Shiwan heard Jiang Yi calling her name familiarly. She was puzzled because wasn't her class's point two. Wait, she thought, Jiang Yi? What a familiar name, too. A white light flashed in her mind. Isn't he the campus beau's, too? Jiang Yi, the influential figure in the Department of Computer Science at University A, was just like her and Li Yan. They were all celebrities in the school. The three of them were famous not only for their outstanding looks, but also because of their well-known love triangle relationship point two. What kind of love triangle this was, too? Jiang Yi was the kind of person who only knew how to make money peacefully. He wished that there were 48 hours in a day so that he could work more. Jiang Yi didn't actually do anything when he said that he wanted to court Shiwan. After all, he didn't see Jiang Shiwan very often. The few times he did see her, she just glanced at him and said, oh, or a simple goodbye on camps. As for Li Yan, she was either sulking or scolding him verbally, but she never came to find fault with him point two. These people whom she rarely met, what kind of love triangle was that supposed to be, too? When Zhou Liqing and her were talking about the grudges between her and Li Yan, she felt that it was funny. This childlike love triangle would only matter when she was a student point two. She thought about the relationship between her, Lin Shi, and Sun Wanyu. She really didn't know anything about being part of that love triangle. If she had known, she might still be living her first life point two. What do you mean? Are you saying that you ordered more than 10 dishes? Jiang Yi said. Li Yan was also being stubborn. She stared at Jiang Yi with reddened eyes and shot back. Are you trying to protect Jiang Shiwan, too? Won't more than 10 dishes be too much? How big is your appetite? Jiang Yi was displeased. Not to mention the ridiculous prices of the dishes here. Shiwan was just a poor student with no money. Even if they were really hungry, they wouldn't be able to eat so many dishes point two. When Shiwan saw that the two of them were about to quarrel, she looked at the waiter with a slightly shocked expression and said to Li Yan, give me the menu. I want to order some more, too. Li Yan snorted at Jiang Yi. She threw the menu to Jiang Shiwan point two. Jiang Yi wanted to speak again, but when he thought of Shiwan's peace of mind, he changed his mind. He decided to endure his displeasure and thought that he would pay for the dishes later point two. Shiwan took the menu and realized that all of the dishes cost at least 100 renminbi. She then understood why Jiang Yi was so displeased when Li Yan ordered too many dishes. Fortunately, she wasn't from her previous life and had money on hand. She casually looked at the menu and ordered a few dishes that she liked the look of. She then asked Jiang Yi what he wanted to eat, but he quickly shook his head. I like everything you ordered, too. Li Yan was clearly unhappy. She glared at them with red eyes. How do you know what she ordered? Maybe she didn't order anything after seeing the prices, too. That's right. She chose this restaurant today, but she didn't intend for Jiang Shiwan to pay. Instead, she wanted to embarrass Jiang Shiwan when she ordered the dishes. After all, everything was so expensive. The penniless nerd would definitely have an ugly expression. That explained why she dragged Jiang Yi over. She just wanted him to see that the goddess he held in his heart was really a penniless wretch who wasn't worthy of him. She didn't expect Jiang Shiwan to be so calm. She ordered a few more dishes and even asked Jiang Yi what he wanted to eat once more. Forget about it, Jiang Yi snapped. He even said something mushy in front of her. It was really too hateful, too. Li Yan was so angry that she didn't think before she speaking about the scene that she had planned in her heart point two. Shiwan roughly understood Li Yan's plan and swore without meaning to point two. Little Miss Li had a childish temper, but wasn't very good at scheming. Compared to Sun Wanyu, she was nothing. Shiwan wasn't angry. After all, the girl in front of her wasn't a bad person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have helped her solve the trouble at the television station. Besides, it was better to pay for a 1,000 yuan meal than owing anyone a favor. Point 2. Speaking of which, it was Lady Li who suffered a loss. Point 2. You are crazy. Jiang Yi snapped at her. Point 2. Me? You're the crazy one. Lian shot back. Point 2. Seeing that the two of them were about to break into another world war, Shiwan quickly waved over the waiter. She took out quickly the menu that she had ordered in and handed it to the patient waiter. The waiter smiled and nodded slightly, then immediately left the room. He even closed the door. Point 2. The atmosphere going between the three of them was a little awkward. Shiwan broke the silence. Well, aren't the two of you a natural pair of enemies, too? Lian's face instantly turned red. This is the first time that I've realized you have quite good taste, too. All the while, Jiang Yi was furious. The feeling of being misunderstood by his goddess was truly unbearable. He tried to distance himself from Li Yan. What kind of enemies? Shiwan, please don't misunderstand. Ever since I first saw you, my heart has been fixed on you, too. You. Li Yan was so angry that her eyes turned even redder. Point 2. Shiwan stayed silent. Point 2. She really wanted to say something. Jiang Yi, kid, she thought to herself, I know you can't help it, but don't go making such strong opponents for me. Okay, too. The atmosphere remained stagnant. Fortunately, the umami restaurant service was fast, and exquisite dishes were soon served one after the other. Despite the awkward atmosphere, everyone valued food above all else. The two people in front of her were aristocrats, and they were skilled at leaving the explosive atmosphere that they had just experienced behind them. They started to move their chopsticks happily. Point 2. Umami's dishes looked good and tasted even better. That meant that it was expensive. Shiwan had been in the entertainment circle for many years, and in that time, she had eaten a feast of gluttonous food from different top restaurants. She had no choice but to praise the food here. Point 2. Shiwan realized that she really was not familiar with the two people she was sat with. They knew her more than she knew them, actually, and she didn't know what to say for a moment. After some time, she remembered that the meal was supposed to be a thank you to Li Yan, so she said to her, Li Yan, thank you so much for this. Even if she didn't really care about the blacklist or the television station, she still had to thank her. Point 2. Lady Li Yan lifted her chin and accepted Shiwan's thanks. She then glanced at Jiang Yi and saw that Jiang Yi was looking at her with a puzzled expression. She was even more delighted. Point 2. Shiwan then explained what had happened to Jiang Yi. Point 2. Jiang Yi nodded to show that he understood. Li Yan said that Jiang Shiwan had wanted to treat her to a meal and asked Jiang Yi if he wanted to go with. He said no originally. After all, the goddess didn't invite him herself. But when he thought about meeting with her, he thickened his skin and took Li Yan up on her offer. Point 2. He'd been unhappy when he arrived and that they were eating at umami. After all, he knew his goddess was not wealthy. He thought about how he could pay for the meal later on and brush his hair back. He would not embarrass himself in front of her, and Li Yan would not embarrass his goddess. It wasn't bad. Thus, his displeasure towards Li Yan faded a little. Point 2. Now that he knew that Li Yan had helped Shiwan a great deal, he couldn't help but change his opinion of her. Perhaps she was not such a hopeless young miss after all. Point 2. When she saw Jiang Yi's small eyes soften, Li Yan was so happy that she wanted to fly. Point 2. It was 7:30 p.m. by the time they finished their meal. Even though it was the beginning of autumn, the sky was already very dark. Point 2. Shiwan called for the waiter to settle the bill. It came to more than 2,300 yuan. When she took out her bank card to settle the bill, Li Yan proudly took out her black card. She sneered. I don't want to eat your food for free, too. Pride wasn't something that could be bought with just 2,000 yuan. Point 2. At this moment, Jiang Yi took out his card and placed it in the unfortunate waiter's hand. I am a boy. I will pay the bill, too. Shiwan smiled. She insisted the two others taking their cards back. She placed her card firmly in the waiter's hand. Today is my treat, everyone. Don't fight over it, too. The waiter had a good impression of Shiwan. He took the card and swiped it immediately. Point 2. The machine buzzed as it waited for the transaction to be approved. Point 2. The printer made a swishing sound as it printed the bill. Point 2. She signed her name and finished paying. Point 2. The two second-generation heirs on the opposite side of her were wearing unsightly expressions. Point two. Shiwan simply smiled. Point two. At the same moment, Leanne's phone lit up on the table. The screensaver was a very intimate photo of her and a man. Point two. Lian was as beautiful as a flower, but so was that man was standing next to the dazzling Lian. He wasn't inferior to her, but somehow even more magnificent than the girl next to him. Point two. Who was that man? It was obvious with one glance that it wasn't Jiang Yi, but he certainly looked very familiar. Point two. Ah, two. She suddenly remembered. Point two. It was him. He was the man she kissed, too. Lian answered the phone in a coquettish tone. Point two. Shiwan didn't expect that man to have a relationship with Lian. She just didn't know what kind of relationship it was, too. He couldn't possibly be a lover. After all, everyone in the school knew that Miss Lian was madly chasing after Jiang Yi, the school brat. Could it be a celebrity that Lian liked? Fans were known to keep photos of themselves and their idols as their screensavers. But on second thought, that wasn't possible either. Although she didn't know all the actors in the entertainment industry, she knew that such unrivaled success would definitely be doing well in the business. It was impossible for her not to know him. Hence, there was only one explanation. He was Lian's relative, most likely her brother. Point two. Although she had only met him briefly on that day, his appearance had stunned her. One had to know that the handsome men and beautiful women in the entertainment industry were mass-produced, and Shiwan had long become numb to it. Moreover, she had high standards. The men that many people called handsome were just average in her eyes. It wasn't her fault that Li Shi, her former man, Lin Shi, was one of the best-looking men around. Point two. However, this man was definitely the most handsome she had ever seen, and he had an excellent temperament. It was as if he was born with an untouchable sense of distance to him. To put it in a scholarly way, wherever he stood, it would be an ink wash painting. Point two. After all, in this filthy secular world, there were very few elegant young masters who had such an ancient and immortal aura. Point two. Lian, who was herself as delicate and beautiful as a rose, had an elder brother with such an elegant temperament. Point two. Of course, she could have guessed wrong. Point two. Lian quickly hung up the phone and looked at Jiang Yi. It's my elder brother. He said he's coming to pick me up, too. Oh, Jiang Yi replied. Then, the three of them walked out of the umami restaurant. The air outside was filled with the hustle and bustle of early autumn. Point two. The man on the screensaver was indeed Lian's older brother. She had guessed it right. Point two. What kind of parents could give birth to such a pair of dazzling children? 2. Lian and Jiang Yi didn't live on the school's campus, so they were walking a different way. Shiwan. They should have gone their separate ways, but Jiang Yi firmly refused to let Shiwan go back to the school alone. He kept calling Shiwan. Her getting back to the school safely was his responsibility and obligation, but his heart roared like a crazy horse as he thought, "Goddess, you are so beautiful, and it is already so late at night. How can I let you go back alone? No, I want to walk you back to school, too." Lian, who had been quietly waiting for her brother, knew that Jiang Shiwan could not be sent back to the school alone. But what kind of joke was this? Although some of her plans had failed today, she finally felt like she was present in the heart of her Prince Charming. How could she let Jiang Yi be alone with her sworn enemy to cultivate their relationship, too? Thus, Lady Lian waved her hand and said, "Both of you wait with me. I will let my brother send you off, too." Shiwan went to protest, but all that came out of her mouth was, "too." Jiang Yi did not answer either. Point two. 10 minutes later, a black Mercedes-Benz slowly stopped at the entrance. Point two. "Big brother is here," Lian said with a smile. She took the lead and ran toward the car. Before long, she waved back to the two of them, indicating for them to hurry over. Point two. Jiang Yi looked at Shiwan with deep affection. "Let's go, Shiwan," he said. The villain in his heart was already intoxicated. The thought of spending more time with the goddess filled his drunk heart with happiness. As for the rest, Jiang Yi simply ignored. Point two. Shiwan nodded and walked toward the car, but as she got closer, she remembered that Li Yan's brother might be the man that she had kissed, too. For a moment, she was actually a little nervous. After all, that day, she had forced herself on him. It had been forced by an extreme situation, and even though he wasn't happy, he still helped her. In the end, she left very impolitely. Point two. Thinking about it now, she was really sick that day. After all, anyone who was walking on the sidewalk would be disgusted if they were suddenly kissed by a stranger. Point two. As she got closer to the car, Li Yin got out of the front passenger seat door suddenly. "You sit in the front," she said to Shiwan before pressing Shiwan into the passenger seat and closing the car door. She pulled Jiang Yi, who was stunned on the spot, into the back seat and closed the door. Her actions were as smooth as flowing water, all one motion. Point two. The passive Shiwan and Jiang Yi were both quiet. Point two. Shiwan sat in the front passenger seat and turned her head. Point two. Sure enough, her eyes locked onto an extremely beautiful face. Point two. It was indeed him. The car was lit up with a faint warm yellow light. His jade face was enveloped by the light, making his features appear a little hazy. Like this, he seemed distant and unapproachable. Point two. He turned his head and saw her. He had an indifferent expression and only nodded slightly. Xuan didn't know if he recognized her. She smiled back when he nodded at her, but she was still a little nervous. Point two. Lady Li Yin sat at the back and commanded, "Brother, send Jiang Xuan back to school first." Two. "Okay." His voice was clear and cold, but Xuan could still see a trace of softness in his expression. It seemed like brother and sister had quite a good relationship. Point two. "Hello, Brother Li Zhan." Jiang Yi also spoke up from the back. Point two. "Li Zhan, that was a strange name." "Wait a minute, too." "Li Zhan?" "Li Zhan, the current CEO of the Sky Shadow Media Company that she wanted to join? The famous Li Zhan who had always been a mystery in the industry." Two. Was it him? Could it be him, too? She suddenly remembered at a few banquets there were some girls who had seen him, and they were swapping stories and talking about him. It seemed like there was no other man in this world who was more outstanding than Li Zhan. Point two. At that time, she had scoffed at him. Point two. The Sky Shadow Media Company had only been in business for a few short years. Sure, it was on par with the veteran tycoons, but it was an exaggeration to say that he was the most outstanding man in the world. Even if love wasn't enough, she still had her family depending on Lin Shi's support. How could Li Zhan be any better than Lin Shi, too? But now, it seemed like Lin Shi had lost by looks and importance, not to mention wealth and strength. Point two. It turned out that such a man did exist. It was as though the heavens had adorned him with all the best jewelry in the world. Point two. Li Zhan heard Jiang Yi's greeting and nodded. He politely acknowledged him before turning to Shiwan. "Seatbelt, please," he said. Point two. Shiwan was stunned for a moment and blushed. She quickly fastened her seatbelt before Li Zhan drove off. Point two. The low-profile Mercedes-Benz steadily entered traffic. Shiwan's heart was in a mess, filled with doubts about him. They drove past countless sceneries on both sides, and it didn't take long for them to arrive at the school gate. Point two. She got out of the car and stood where she was. She watched the car drive away and only returned to the dormitory once it had disappeared from her sight. The first thing she did was search to find any information she could about Li Zhan on the internet. Point two. A lot of news popped up on Baidu, but most of it seemed useless. There was some gossip she hadn't heard about that seemed to have no basis. There were a few photos of him, but they were limited and only showed his silhouette from a distance. Point two. She recognized him straight away. Point two. They captured his elegant temperament, like tall mountains and flowing water. He was the only one. The next day, it started to rain in City B. For a few days after, the high temperature suddenly dropped. Point two. Xuan finally finished her resume. Because she did not know the honors and awards of her predecessor, she'd spent a lot of time looking up the information. Point two. In the night, when she had finished her resume, she looked at the full list of awards. First place in the Host Cup, the Host Competition Excellence Award, the Best Typhoon Award. She had been the winner of the National First Class Scholarship selected from the city's top 10 youth too. After looking through the newly written resume, Shiwan felt that something was strange. Point two. A top student is a top student, after all. Looking at your full resume, it's a sure thing. You should apply to be a live streamer. Qian Mingfei, who was putting on a face mask, sighed. Qian Mingfei didn't know that Shiwan was planning to enter the entertainment industry. Point two. Shiwan only smiled. After all, these honors were from a previous life. However, thinking back, the honors reminded her of her past life. Full of awards, first place for all kinds of performances and all kinds of accolades for movie queens, too. It was a pity that the current her started from scratch. No, she had more than 10 years of experience than the previous Jiang Shuan, who had just stepped in the entertainment industry. Point two. All right, which television station do you plan to go to as an anchor? B television station, Channel 2, District Television Station, or Central TV? 2. Shuan shook her head. I don't plan to, 2. At 2. I want to go to the entertainment industry. To test the waters, 2. You want to go to the entertainment industry too? As Shuan finished speaking, Zhou Liqing, who was engrossed in a novel, instantly raised her head. Point two. Are you sure? Qian Mingfei was slightly shocked. Point two. Shuan nodded. Point two. Qian Mingfei patted her small chest and said, Shuan, you're usually very quiet. Whenever you do something, you drop a bomb everywhere. 2. Oh, that's great, Zhou Liqing replied. I'll have a partner in the entertainment industry. 2. Zhou Liqing had always wanted to enter the entertainment industry. She cared the most about the gossip in the entertainment industry out of all the students in her dorm. Back then, her roommates had asked her why she didn't go to the acting department if she wanted to go into the entertainment industry. The university's acting department was also very famous and had produced many famous stars in the industry. However, Zhou Liqing said, my looks can only be above average in the entertainment industry. It's very easy for people to forget about me. Since my looks can't win, then I'll win with my education. She sighed. It's a pity that I can't get into B University or Q University. That would be even more satisfying. Oof. Look at these low IQ B asterisk cheese in the entertainment industry. 2. At that time, everyone ridiculed in unison. Are you crazy? After all, there were many actors in the entertainment industry and many top student. Point two. Zhou Liqing continued. Shuan is so good-looking, she'll definitely become famous. This way, I can borrow some of her fame, just like those movie stars Jiang Shuan and Sun Wanyu. We could be the new twin sisters of the entertainment industry, too. When Shuan heard Zhou Liqing speak those last few words, the hatred that had been buried deep inside was once again revealed. The malicious look and haze in her eyes could not be dispersed. Point two. Shuan's thoughts raced through her mind. Sun Wanyu, your plan is really good. Sure enough, everyone in the world has been successfully fooled by you. Everyone thinks that you're a harmless little white flower and that you're Jiang Shuan's good sister. Including my once stupid self, too. If it weren't for Sun Wanyu being so impatient, perhaps Shuan would have been kept in the dark for the rest of her life. Point two. Sure enough, you're the one who should be the best actress. Shuan's face did not reveal anything about what she was thinking. Your acting skills have fooled everyone in the world. You're really amazing, too. Fortunately, God has eyes and let me live again, too. How you treated me in the past will be returned to you 100 times over. Shuan addressed Sun Wanyu with her thoughts. Point two. Shuan, I asked you what you think. Zhou Liqing repeated herself when she saw Shuan's blank expression. Point two. Oh, that's good, but we're us, not Jiang Shuan and Sun Wanyu. Who knows if their friendship was just for the world to see? 2. Zhou Liqing nodded in agreement. Yes, we're us. Who knows if their friendship is real or fake? After all, both of them are movie queens and their acting skills are superb. Besides, if it were not for the indecent video, who would have known that the goddess on the screen who looks unattainable relies on men in private? 2. Zhou Liqing, stop talking nonsense. Sun Huayu, who didn't say much, said, after all, no matter what, death was like a lamp going out. Moreover, Jiang Shuan was once an artiste that she admired very much. Besides, it's been so long since the incident, and she committed suicide, so let's not talk about this nonsense anymore. Besides, I keep feeling that something is strange about it all, too. What's strange, too? Shuan was not angry at Zhou Liqing's outspoken words. Although Zhou Liqing's malicious speculation made her feel a little uncomfortable, Zhou Liqing did not know the truth. Moreover, what Zhou Liqing said was probably what the public thought. Point two. Sun Wanyu was indeed amazing. Not only had she successfully defamed her, but she also stepped on her body and walked forward steadily. Point two. In fact, she rarely paid attention to the news in the entertainment circle these days. She was afraid that she would reveal some inappropriate emotions due to her hatred and then reveal some clues about who she used to be. She was also afraid that her calm character would break down again. However, even if she did not see or hear the explosive news, she couldn't help sometimes hearing the discussions of the people around her. Point two. This happened when Soon Wanyu revealed to the news that she was in love. The man in question was Lin Shi, and Soon Wanyu called him her first love. But because someone had exposed him for being the male lead of that indecent video, the circle was really messy too. It was suspected that Soon Wanyu was pregnant, and there was hope for her to move into a rich family too. Then, when Soon Wanyu talked about her best friend's suicide, she broke down in tears and fell into a severe hysteria many times too. The media's evaluation of her was romantic, and her friends in the entertainment circle all comforted her. Point two. She was becoming really successful. Point two. Shiwan asked Sun Huayu, "What's wrong about it?" She thought about it for a moment. "I can't tell," she replied. "It's just my intuition." When a movie queen was alive, there was no trace of Soon Wanyu in the news, but she's all over the headlines. The whole article was full of praise for her, but it was also a press release and obituary for Jiang Shiwan, the movie queen. The media also called Soon Wanyu kind and righteous. They said she should not have to suffer and keep her true love in seclusion and silence inside her heart. If they can ignore the best actress committing suicide, then so be it. After all, the reasons for Jiang Shiwan's suicide were not exactly honorable, but her best friend couldn't wait to tell the whole world that she regretted her best friend committing suicide because of an indecent video. This kind of news, it's very annoying to watch, too. Sun Huayu's reasonable words shocked everyone. Point two. Even Zaiwen could not help but admire her. Sun Huayu was as meticulous as a fine-tooth comb, and many things of the things she said were on point. Point two. Sun Huayu continued. In fact, her acting skills are average, but now she's being praised to the skies. Her acting skills are off the charts. She overpowered Jiang Shiwan and Zhang Zi to win the Best Actress award at the Golden Age Awards. But was there really no shady business behind the Golden Age Award winners? Putting aside the fact that the Best Actress, Jiang Shiwan's movie, had a record box office sales and Zhang Zi's those years, even if Jiang Shiwan was rejected, it wouldn't be Soon Wanyu's turn. But now a lot of news is speculating how good her acting skills are. I don't deny that as the female lead in The Amnesiac's Wife, she is indeed not bad, but compared to others, she's still inferior. 2. Qian Mingfei and Zhou Liqing nodded. You're right. She used to be considered box office poison, too. Maybe she wants to take advantage of the death of her best friend to create hype and attract more people. Maybe she's trying to push herself to the top. After all, although the Best Actress made an indecent video, she still has a lot of loyal fans. Qian Mingfei scratched her chin. Point two. Is this friendship real or fake? If it's fake, Soon Wanyu is too disgusting. But even if the friendship is real, it's still quite disgusting for her to tie up her dead best friend to gain popularity. I don't want to think about it anymore. The circle really is messy. Zhou Liqing pouted. Point two. Come on, don't you also want to enter the noble circle? You'll be in a mess in the future. 2. I won't. Oh, right. Shiwan, which agency are you planning to go to? 2. The Sky Shadow Media Company. 2. Sky Shadow. I've heard of it, but Huafeng is the strongest in the industry, right? Zhou Liqing said. Point two. Huafeng is now Soon Wanyu's world. Are you sure you want to go? Sun Huayu looked at Zhou Liqing coldly. Point two. No, I'll go wherever Shiwan goes, Zhou Liqing said with a smile, and I really want to meet the CEO of Sky Shadow. There are rumors on the internet that he's super handsome. 2. There's no picture to show the truth. How can you believe that kind of gossip? Qian Mingfei tore the mask of her face. But his mother is the only Grand Slam winning Best Actress, Zhang Yining. They all say that her son should inherit her looks, as long as his father isn't ugly. It's hard to say, she sighed. But speaking about all this makes me feel sorry for Jiang Shiwan. If she had won the Golden Age Award, she would have broken Zhang Yining's record and been the youngest Grand Slam winning Best Actress, too. All right, let's not talk about the dead Best Actress too much. Otherwise, our own Jiang Shiwan will get dizzy. But I have to say, Shiwan, Your name is exactly the same. Will there be trouble in the entertainment industry in the future? After all, if Zhou Liqing looked at Xiwan, and she trailed off point two. Xiwan shook her head point two. All those people who called Jiang Xiwan a beauty? TSK, TSK. With your looks, all the female celebrities in the entertainment industry will be blown away, Zhou Liqing said as she lifted Xiwan's fair and tender chin. If Xiwan plays the female lead in the ancient Xinxia drama, everyone will be queuing up to have their pictures taken with the beautiful actress. No, I want to take more photos with Xiwan now, too. Xiwan was taken aback point two. Yes, yes, yes. Qi Mingfei said point two. And so, the four girls took 4 funny photos and saved them into their phones. A freeze-frame scene of youth point two. After a few days, the weather cleared up. Autumn was crisp, with blue skies and white clouds. A week of autumn rain had caused many people who liked outdoor sports to become restless. Therefore, more people were walking around the campus than usual point two. A few days ago, Xiwan said that she wanted to go to Sky Shadow Media Company to take a look. However, it just so happened that yesterday, Sky Shadow had announced the recruitment of artists. Zhou Liqing, who loved to sleep in, got up quickly in the early morning that day. She washed her hair, put on makeup, and put her mask on. By the time the others got up, Zhou Liqing was already sitting in her own seat with a radiant and moving look point two. Everyone stared at her point two. It had to be said, Zhou Liqing was also a beauty who turned a lot of heads. She had big eyes, a small nose, and a sharp chin. She was quite charming point two. By the time Xiwan finished washing up, Zhou Liqing had already happily opened the small drawer of makeup for Xiwan. Hurry up and put on your makeup. Let's go to Sky Shadow Media Company to show our faces, too. Xiwan was silent. She really said that the wind was the rain point two. Originally, she had planned to wait for the interview notice obediently. After all, she had already sent her resume to Sky Shadow's company email a few days ago. But they received hundreds of emails every day. They could have missed it. It was probably okay to listen to Zhou Liqing and go check out the company. Perhaps they could really meet their manager or a talent scout point two. Have you done your resume, too? Zhou Liqing was stunned. She slapped her thigh and said without any pause, right away. I'll finish it in half an hour. Then, she hurriedly opened her laptop point two. Xiwan casually swept her light makeup and then looked at Zhou Liqing, who was typing. After about 20 minutes, Zhou Liqing unplugged the USB from the computer, turned around, and said happily, Done. We can go downstairs to the printing room to print it later, too. Qian Mengfei turned around. I've got nothing to do, she said. I'll go with you guys, too. Okay, Zhou Liqing said with a smile. Maybe you'll be noticed too, Mengfei. Then we can all explore the entertainment industry together, too. Come on, I still have a bit of self-awareness. Living under the halo of her beautiful roommate, she was still confident and brilliant, which was a rare quality point too. Why are you going, too? I have something to do, so I won't go. You guys keep safe and strive for success, too. Asterisk, 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 too. They crowded into the bus like sardines. Fortunately for them, it wasn't a far journey. When they got on the bus, there were still many empty seats. The three of them were not completely squeezed together, but even so, they were sweating profusely point two. After getting off the bus, Zhou Liqing took a damp towel and carefully dabbed the sweat on her face. It seems like my makeup is ruined. Oh my, I hate it. If I don't succeed in the interview, I'll be blacklisted for life on Route 18, she said, referring to the bus they had just taken point two. Xiwan and Qian Mengfei nodded silently point two. Xiwan quickly touched up Zhou Liqing's makeup, causing the latter's eyes to fill with love. So warm, Zhou Liqing said, I would give birth to a monkey for you, too. Xiwan and Qian Mengfei looked at her point two. A sneer sounded around the crowd. The girls looked for the source of the noise and found a young man. He was wearing a light blue t-shirt with a tiger head printed on it and white casual pants point two. He had big eyes, snowy white skin, red lips, and white teeth. Despite his baby-like facial features, he looked to be in his 20s. He was very tall too, at least 180 centimeters if not taller. His flaxen hair was clean and neat, and the bangs that lay across his forehead were blonde from the sun point too. At that moment, The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing 2 dimples. He was very cute. Point 2. They had been initially unhappy but calmed down slightly when they saw his face. However, they did not expect that he was going to say, "Can't you keep your lesbian love secret? The world is so cruel." Shiwan and the others' faces went completely black. Point 2. F***CK. Look at your own effeminate face. You know they say that if you're always calling other people gay, it usually means that you must be gay too. TSK. Your mouth is as stinky as your anus. Zhou Liqing scolded. Point 2. The man's eyes widened in disbelief. With a red face, he angrily said, F***CK. You're so full of SH*T, too. Likewise. Zhou Liqing crossed her arms over her chest defensively. Point 2. Shiwan and Qian Mengfei exchange a look. Liqing, not only did you admit that you're a lesbian, you also admitted that your mouth is stinky, too. But what was wrong with that man? Why did he come here to pick a fight when there was no reason? 2. Shiwan took advantage of the fact that it hadn't escalated into a world war and quickly said, "Okay, Liqing, let's go for the interview. Don't waste precious time with irrelevant people." Then she turned to the man. "You look decent, and yet you suddenly came here to spout nonsense? You even picked a fight with a weak woman in public. You're really quite elegant, too." Hey, what do you mean?" The man turned to look at Shiwan with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Thinking that he didn't look carefully, he said, "But you successfully attracted my attention, too." Shiwan stared back at him without answering. Point 2. When he saw that Shiwan was not going to respond, the man muttered to himself instead, "Forget it. I won't argue with mortals but you." He looked squarely at Shiwan. "Hey, what's your name?" 2. Shiwan ignored him and held onto the hands of her 2 good friends as they walked towards Sky Shadow Media, together. Point 2. The man's eyes widened. F***CK. I was rejected in my first attempt to strike up a conversation. He watched them walk towards the company building. He couldn't help but snort. "So, you want to work in the entertainment industry?" TSK. And here I was thinking you were some kind of chaste and virtuous woman." His monologue continued. "But you chose Brotherly Jean's Sky Shadow. You have good taste, and you haven't debuted yet, so you shouldn't be tainted, too." After he finished his train of thought, he looked Shiwan's back and the soft shape of the white cloth she wore. He couldn't help but say, "Your words are sharp. You don't even use dirty words when you curse. Just wait. I will make you submit to my charm." Although Sky Shadow Media was part of the Sky Shadow Group, the company's address was not set up in the glorious and domineering Sky Shadow building. This was probably due to the uniqueness of the media company. All the people who went in and out were all big-name celebrities. Point 2. Therefore, the Sky Shadow Media Company simply built a skyscraper that was no less domineering than the Sky Shadow main building. That's right, a building in a place like City B, where every inch of land was expensive, especially in this district. They actually built a building to be a media company. One could only say that the rich were rich and willful, too. Of course, Sky Shadow Media was not just a celebrity agency. It had many departments under it, with countless capable people. The building was home to game development, mobile games, and software apps, variety shows, fashion, design, jewelry, newspapers, magazines. One chain after another, there were numerous departments with thousands of employees. The huge, glorious building was bustling with traffic every day. Point 2. Shiwan was relatively familiar with this area. 2 streets away were the headquarters of the Huafeng Group. She often used to drive past here. Back then, her assistant Xiao Chun had even lamented that Sky Shadow Group is indeed rich and powerful. A huge building just for an entertainment company, as if it was the headquarters of a large group. It's the best of the best. The privacy of the actors is guaranteed, unlike our Huafeng Group, where the headquarters are connected to other departments. Any inexperienced employee can take photos and post them on the internet. She remembered glaring at Xiao Chun at the time. If Sky Shadow was so good, why was he working for Huafeng? Xiao Chun was so scared that he no longer dared to say anything bad about Huafeng in front of her. Point 2. Now that she thought about it, she really had been an idiot at that time. She was blindly covering up for her own shortcomings. It was no wonder that something happened to her in the end. Her manager and assistant did not speak up for her either. It was all just an act. Point two. The three friends stood at the door. Through the transparent revolving glass, they looked inside and surveyed the scene. Xiwan did not think much of it, but Qian Mengfei and Zhou Liqing were stunned by the magnificent building in front of them. Point two. 8 large pillars stood 10 meters tall at the top of the ring-shaped hall. On top of them was a gold crystal lamp, and the white marble floor was so bright that it could be seen reflecting back in it. In the middle of the hall, there was a rockery with flowing water. The sound of running water echoed around the room. Point two. At the entrance, there were 2 uniformed security guards standing at the revolving door like soldiers. One of them saw that there were 3 beautiful young ladies, so he smiled slightly, and he indicated that they could enter. Point two. Xiwan was slightly embarrassed. She quickly pulled the other 2 of them into the hall. When they entered the door, a gust of comfortable cold air blew towards them. Zhou Liqing pulled the 2 of them towards the rockery. There were many water lilies in the crystal-clear water. Someone seemed to have taken good care of them. In September, there were even a few blooming flowers. Under the lotuses, there were several lively red and white koi carps playing around. Point two. I want to take a few photos. As Zhou Liqing said that, she took out her phone and started taking photos. Then she started taking more selfies, and then photos with her 2 friends too. Qian Mengfei asked, "Are you still planning to have an interview, too?" Zhou Liqing nodded. "Noodles," she said, and looked around at Xiwan. Point two. Xiwan and Mengfei started back, too. Xiwan looked around and saw that the front desk was not far away. "Let's go there and ask, too. You still have sharp eyes," Zhou Liqing said with a smile. Point two. The 3 of them walked to the front desk. There were 3 sisters sat at the front desk. They were wearing the same uniform, had the same hairstyle, and wore light makeup. They were all beauties with big eyes and small mouths. They were definitely from Sky Shadow Media. Point two. "Hello, ladies. How can I help you?" A warm voice asked. A beautiful receptionist smiled up at the 3 of them. Point two. "Is your company recruiting artists? Where do you send your resume?" 2. The receptionist looked at the 3 of them, and her eyes lit up. "Okay, please follow me." 2. She led the way, and Zhou Liqing said softly, "They're indeed a big company. The receptionist is so nice and warm, and so warm-hearted." 2. Qian Mengfei said, "Wouldn't it be nice to be able to work in these companies, too?" The bigger the company, the higher the recruitment requirements. Even the cleaning lady had a clean background and was honest and upstanding, let alone the receptionist. This was the first impression of the company, so they would naturally want to choose her as well. Point two. The receptionist led them to an office. Inside, there were a few people writing with their heads down. The receptionist said, "They are also here for applications." Then, she let the 3 of them sit down and wait. She poured 3 cups of flower tea for Xiwan, Liqing, and Mengfei. Then, she turned around and went to get 3 information forms and 3 pens. "This is the basic information form," she said as she handed the sheets of paper over. "Everyone, please fill it out. After you finish writing it, hand it over to Manager Chen over there. At 11 o'clock, our interviewer will start the first round of interviews. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask Manager Chen or come to the receptionist to look for me. I wish you all a successful interview." 2. After her speech, the receptionist left with a smile. Point two. Zhou Liqing sighed again. "The quality of yours is really good, too." The 3 of them sat down and filled in the information quickly. After they finished writing, Qian Mengfei had a moment of realization. "I only followed you here to take a look. Why would I fill out the application, too?" "Uh-huh. Go ahead and write. What if you're also chosen, too?" Qian Mengfei didn't answer. Zhou Liqing had a point. Point two. The 3 of them handed the information sheet to Manager Chen. The moment Mr. Chen saw Xiwan, he was stunned. He looked at Xiwan's information sheet, and when he saw her name, he was stunned again. Then, he said very politely, "Miss Jiang, please sit here for a while. There's still about an hour left, too." The girls who were waiting saw that Mr. Chen, who had been expressionless towards them, was actually being nice to a woman. They couldn't help but look up to watch. Point two. When they saw Xiwan's face, jealousy flashed in their eyes. Point two. Xiwan returned to her seat with an indifferent expression. Zhou Liqing leaned over and whispered, Hee hee, I told you that my Shiwan would definitely be chosen. 2. Don't jump to conclusions when there's no shadow. 2. Oomph. If you didn't get picked, who else will? Zhou Liqing looked around as she spoke. She looked at all the beauties around her. They were all dressed exquisitely, as if they could go on stage at a moment's notice. There are many beauties, but all of them were instantly killed by you. 2. Zhou Liqing's voice was quite loud. A gorgeous beauty beside her heard what she'd said and was very uncomfortable. She looked at Shiwan and Zhou Liqing. Aren't you afraid of your tongue when the wing is strong? Who will be killed instantly, too? The other beauties, who had their heads lowered, looked up as she spoke. They were all gorgeous, like they had come straight out of beauty pageants, and all of them wore ugly expressions on their faces. 2. There was a strong smell of gunpowder in the air. Zhou Liqing was so angry that she wanted to scold her back, but Shiwan stopped her. 2. Shiwan said, My friend is only joking. Don't take it to heart, too. Everyone was focused on how to get into the industry, and each of them had their own weight in their bellies. Thinking about how manager Chen treated Shiwan differently from the rest, they stopped glaring. After all, they hadn't even gained the representation of the company, and they were already fighting. That wouldn't be good for their image. 2. As time passed, more and more candidates came to apply. There were men and women, old and young. For a time, the huge office was crowded. 2. The air was silent, even with the air conditioner running in the background. 2. Shiwan chatted with her friends. Zhou Liqing even scrolled through Weibo and posted a photo of the three of them to pass the time. 2. At Sky Shadow Media, applying to be an artist with my friends, she read aloud as she tapped on her screen. I pray we have good luck. Where are the flower emojis? I want to add some too. Zhou Liqing usually only put pictures of nature on Weibo. Flowers, birds, insects, and grass. Once she posted some stewed chicken soup, she made that it made everyone who ate it sick. Most of her 300 followers were classmates. 2. As soon as she posted the picture, someone commented underneath. F***CK. Is the goddess going to break into the entertainment industry and become one of the generations of new legends? 2. After Zhou Liqing finished reading it, she laughed out loud, making her cheeks red. Then, she showed it to Shiwan and Qianmingfei. I didn't expect the study commissary to call me the goddess, Shiwan said. 2. Qianmingfei looked at the comment of the study commissary. His nickname was Single Lucky Man. Then, she looked at the photo that Zhou Liqing showed her. Are you sure the study commissary will talk about you later? 2. Ding. Ding. 2 message notifications popped up. 2. Zhou Liqing refreshed the comment and saw the Single Lucky Man send another message. The goddess in white dress is indeed beautiful. So beautiful I could cry or lick the screen too. Shiwan swore with rage in her white dress. 2. Zhou Liqing, in a red dress, said angry react. She reacted to the comment on her photo. 2. Then, many of her classmates came forward to leave messages. A few of them wished her success, while most of them were lamenting Shiwan's beauty. They even tagged Zhou Liqing's classmates, who she did not know. 2. It didn't take long before there were more comments, followed by people sharing the post. F***CK. As expected of the campus beauty contest winner. Beautiful. Cry. A clear photo of the front. Papig has good reviews. That's right, there was even a typo. 2. A student from a university, whose Weibo account was more popular, also retweeted the post. The campus belle of my university is about to enter the entertainment industry. Tremble, women of the entertainment industry. The beauty killer is here, too. In half an hour, the number of reposts on Zhou Liqing's Weibo had increased exponentially. The number of notifications from her new friends increased faster and faster. 2. Many people praised Zhou Liqing's beauty and even asked Shiwan for personal information. 2. Zhou Liqing was slightly stunned. She looked at Shiwan and said, Shiwan, I seem to have done something amazing, too. Shiwan, who was playing a phone game, looked up. 2. I think we're going to become internet celebrities. She handed her phone to Shiwan and pointed at the latest hot topic on the platform. I accidentally uploaded it, too. Shiwan stared at the screen, trying to process what she could see. 2. However, as the number of retweets and comments increased, a discordant voice started to emerge online. Which company is creating the hype again? 2. Pfft, it's just like that. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is, she can still be more beautiful than Jiang Shiwan. 2. One of Jiang Shiwan's diehard fans struck back at that comment. Hey, please don't compare this little drop in the ocean to our Shiwan, okay? 2. Then, some people were becoming the new Shiwan's first diehard fans. Some people were not fans of the late Jiang Shiwan. Bah, she's just a suicidal slut. Even when it comes to looks, how dare you say this goddess in white is ugly? 2. The originally harmonious comments section was in a mess. Zhou Liqing could see that it was getting out of control. What should we do, 2? Delete it. Qian Mingfei rolled her eyes at Zhou Liqing. Hurry up and delete it before Shiwan becomes an internet celebrity. After all, it's not a good thing if the identity of internet fame is printed on Shiwan. 2. That was very true. Celebrities were actually very particular about how they appeared online. There were always a few cases of internet celebrities being as well-liked and respected as traditional celebrities, but it was rare. Even if some celebrities who came from internet celebrities were not less popular than traditional celebrities, the latter still looked down on the former. In the eyes of traditional celebrities, internet celebrities were just not cool and had a rustic aura. It was the same as gaining success from a talent show. Even the 18th-tier celebrities looked down on you. 2. Zhou Liqing nodded and quickly deleted the Weibo post. 2. She posted a picture of a single mountain koi. A little shocked by the sudden appearance of so many fans. Because I had friends in the picture before, I have deleted it. Please forgive me. P.S. I heard that if I post a photo of a koi, my wish will come true. Then,